Yo, what's up, everybody? Mama's trying to figure her shit out right now. She can't hear me for some reason, and we don't know what's up. Hey, do you think you should restart your computer? Because that worked last time, right? Oh, okay.
As a way of circumnavigating issues, I was like, I'm gonna start my computer.
All right. What we in theory can do, it'll probably sound weird for everybody, is I can go grab my headphones and keep listening to you on the phone while you're figuring it out.
Can everyone hear me?
Well, they can hear you, yeah, because I can hear you on Discord. I'm gonna go grab my headphones. That way I can be on headphones to hear you. Just a sec.
This is crapola. I can't see or hear the squishies. I'm just a rando weird person in a void. Goddamn void. Voiding me again. Every time I'm voided, I get voided.
So yeah, Mama can hear me, but only on the phone, not on Discord, which is the issue we're having. Yo, what's up? Welcome to the Drawk Show. Howdy, hi, folks. Hello, howdy. Hi there. This was a cool part. We're in a cool part now of Berserk. Mom's also in the cool part of tech hell, where she's figuring out how to make this work. Well, you can't say Drawk and tech issues. I'm having zero tech issues over here. We're straight chilling. I can't wait to see a man with a dream of kingdom bring about the dawn of the world. It's so great, isn't it? You know, I actually had a different One Piece comparison I was going to make today, but there is the true dawn. Yeah, Griffith is certainly a critique of protagonists, huh? You need to stop binging all of Berserk right before stream. You and me both. I was planning on reading this at a time, but I have been busy this week catching up on shit that I was behind on while going through mental health struggle. Cold coffee, rainbow sherbet soda, water. We got things. Chapter, volume. We read up to chapter 307 today from our last leaving off point of 285, starting at 286 today. And let me tell you, this is your favorite part of Berserk. You're a lunatic, but this is the wildest Berserk has ever been. Berserk just keeps unfolding to feel grander and grander, which I really didn't expect. It feels like Berserk it might be my favorite magical world building of anything ever. This is the way that I like fantasy to be, in so many ways. I'm such a big fan of this. Obviously, darker than I would write it in my version of fiction. But the idea of myth being real, not because it was real, but because it is made real by the near astral being shaped by belief, is such a cool concept. The birth of Fantasia. Extra pink Drawk. Yes, I am extra pink today. You know what? You know what? I'm gonna get my hoodie while Mama's figuring this out. Give me a second here. What are these headphones? Would I recommend? Yes, I'll get back in a moment. All right. These headphones are Sunto's, Suunto, and here's the deal, right? Usually after new tech kind of hits the market, it takes like 2 to 3 years for other companies to figure it out well enough that you can get high quality, cheap versions from other companies, things that don't suck. And it's finally been long enough after Shocks came out that the knockoff brands don't suck anymore. So it's like the same thing as Shocks, but like just way cheaper. These are $70 usually on Amazon instead of like 220. Wouldn't Berserk need to be as expensive as it is to be as lauded as it is? No, that's wouldn't Berserk need to be as expansive as it is to be as lauded as it is? Don't think it would be as peak if it was just Golden Age. I disagree. Because people who've only ever seen the anime adaptation that only did the Golden Age think it's super peak. You don't need to be gigantic in scope to be well loved at all. Like that's I think that's what a lot of authors actually get wrong, is they think things need to be as big as possible, and usually it makes things bad and cheap and tacky. Because if you don't properly unfold your way up to a grand scale, it feels shitty, and personal small stories are kind of what we actually care about as humans. If you start at the small scale of something and create personal connections, you can stay there forever and be peak fiction. not as peak. Am I saying Golden Age is my fave? No, no, no. Absolutely not. The Unfolding of Magic, I think the previous section's my favorite so far. The one we read just before this. The whole stretch from recruiting Shirky has been incredible. I love it. But I'll read this in a moment. But I don't think that means you need to be as grand in scale. Like, I don't think that's at all necessary. I think that's it's power scalar logic to me, right? Of the idea of tiering things as, well, your character's fodder. What the fuck does that mean? A character can be fodder and still have an engaging story. John Wick. Sorry, what's up?
Take a picture.
You hear?
No, ignore me.
What, you can hear me though on the Discord?
Yeah, don't worry. It went off for a minute.
Okay, so we can hang up on the phone. Did you already?
No.
So I can't hang up on the phone?
Nope. It went on and then went off.
I'm so confused. All right, good luck. Everybody says hi. But like, I think something can be lauded without ever reaching those highs. I think in the action world, John Wick is incredibly lauded, but if you use power scalar logic, the man's not wall level, right? He's not throwing a punch that explodes a brick wall. Where did the last section leave off a lot? When Mama's able to talk, we'll talk about it. I think with anything, you start with the personal connections and the small, because that's a part of a story that connects you and matters. And making the big feel warranted is an incredible skill. It's very difficult. And I think that's what's cool about this part, is he's making incredible, gigantic things feel personal still by connecting us to them in such a meaningful way. And I think that's what's making it so impressive. But I think if you're looking at writing, don't think big as a nature of good. It's more that you need to be good to make big be good. But you can make anything big clumsily. Big is easy. Making big good is hard, if that makes sense. You love how Berserk has gone all the way from low fantasy political drama to now we are full-on high fantasy? Absolutely. That. Now, granted, it did start in kind of a middle fantasy before flashing back out of the Black Swordsman. You've missed nothing. We're in tech issue hell. You're fine. You're fine. Yeah, I advise away from assuming that big is a necessity. Yo, what's up? Gabrilapin. Deep, not wide? Yeah. Great, you don't want Berserk? Well, you're wrong. Berserk is incredible, Snoll. Pain. Pain is good for you, kids. I genuinely think Berserk is good for you as a person. I think seeing a story that is about struggle and the worthwhileness of life in terrible. No, it's not good. No, it's incredible. Berserk's incredible. You've gotten the wrong impression about it. It's like Dark Souls. You've been told the wrong things. If you're told Dark Souls is good because it's hard, that's wrong. Dark Souls is hard, and that hard is necessary for why Dark Souls is good, but why it's good is the feeling of triumph and accomplishment, the feeling of discovery and realizing you're part of something grand, of questioning that grandness and realizing that the depraved mundanities that wish to drown the grandness deserve to. The slow realizationness that greatness is nothing in the face of the march of time, and to insist otherwise is to go against the cycles of eons and the nature of the world. That's Dark Souls. That's why it's great. And it being hard is a way that it tells you that story. Berserk isn't about pain and struggle for the sake of it. Because if it was, it wouldn't be good. It would just be gore porn. It would just be suffering porn. Berserk, I'm loving the part we're at because we have an adventuring party and friends, and Guts has a thing to live for. It has beauty in that. You could use the apology point now and it'd be very funny, but I encourage you not to because I'm right. Yeah. Berserk is good not because... Yeah, it's about hope and healing. It's an optimistic story, but even if it's pessimistic about the nature of the world, it's optimistic about humans and what we are. Yeah, but the thing is, Prash, people's exposure to it and how people talk about Berserk is they're like, you're weak for not reading Berserk. You couldn't handle it. It's so brutal. It is brutal, but like, it's not brutal for no reason. It's brutal to be a story about like the worthwhileness of continuing in despair and hopelessness. A personal perspective, I'm going through a pretty rough time right now. You're one of the only people I know who describes it this way. Yeah, because people don't understand why they like shit. People genuinely believe Breath of the Wild would be better without weapon durability. People don't understand they have to eat their vegetables. They don't get that struggle and difficulty and challenge is why they like things. People are too stupid to understand how smart they are, is my take. Berserk is inverse One Piece in a lot of ways. Yeah, I think warning people that Berserk is horrible is a good thing. It's fucked up. It's brutal. It's unnecessarily gory in places. But a lot of that, what feels like unnecessary, well, some of it is, if you step back, is there to serve as a story about hope, healing, and triumph of in the face of there's effectively two protagonists, or I would say at this point, three protagonists. I think Ganishka is a protagonist. The weapon ability is one of your favorite features of Breath of the Wild, and yet people think it's bad because they don't understand the struggle to find new challenges and find new ways to confront conflict is why that game makes them have fun. They don't get that the game is only making its very limited pool of enemies interesting by constantly changing how you have to deal with them. That's the only reason Breath of the Wild stays fun. Berserk is similar. Berserk is exclusively about the feeling of triumph you get from surviving adversity, what it means to heal, what it means to become stronger, and I think that's beautiful. I'm such a fan of what this has done for me, and like I was saying, I'm in a very low mental place right now, and I think genuinely this story helps me in that, of feeling like it's okay to feel broken sometimes and to keep going, feeling like it's okay to be in a state of constant struggle and find purpose in that and find a reason to put a foot in front of the other. What's the purpose of literally graping Casca in the mental state of a toddler? First of all, don't spoil yourself on the story. And second of all, yeah, to talk about trauma. And honestly, because it makes Guts' position harder. It puts him in a position of true struggle, where a person that understood him and cared about him like no one else, that made him feel human, is both gone, but not entirely, so he can't move on. Because, frankly, yeah, it's fridging. That's a bad trope, but it is because a lot of the story is about the dire situation Guts can be in and still find reasons to live. The slow rebuilding of Guts has been one of the most, in my opinion, earned character arcs in the history of fiction. And then to compensate for what it does to Casca, Berserk gives you some of the best female characters in the history of fiction. Looking at you, Luca. You never liked veggies in your pizza until you started to make your own pizza and realize why they're there. That fucking rules. That is such a good little metaphor for learning to enjoy things that feel like obstacles and filler. Luca, Shirky, Farney, absolutely. Even when you understand philosophy world, you're self-aware, you get tangled up while having the tools unravel yourself. Yeah. Literally the first thing you were told about Berserk and why it's a cool story, and that it doesn't shy away from brutality and real things. Yeah, I think that honestly goes over the top. It doesn't feel real to me. It feels excessive, but it's excessive to make Guts' struggle more intense and heavier. The person who made him feel safe was ruined, was destroyed, and she can't be dead so that he can start moving on. She is a burden on him, that this thing that gave him safety for the first time in his life has been destroyed. That's brutal and horrible, and I don't think Guts' story of healing would feel as powerful if it weren't in that situation. Wasn't intended as a metaphor. It is. No, it's a good metaphor. It's a solid little parable. Casker and Guts show the different ways we deal with extreme struggle. One can't handle it, breaks. One slowly, it slowly erodes the other. Yeah, I think so. But it also, while it erodes Guts, that erosion is something that he can build up against, and that's impressive. The scenes with Godo go to talk about that, of him being reforged and rehoned and resharpened, to keep being himself despite that. That's what turned you away from it, honestly. Mainly how the fandom interacts with it and acts like it's a realistic story. Yeah, I don't think it should be seen as a realistic story. It's written by a fan of Nietzsche, not post-death Nietzsche, where suddenly his sister publishes a bunch of shit that's really dodgy and pro-Nazi. It's worth remembering Nietzsche's sister was a Nazi, and in his life he hated white supremacy. He thought racial supremacists were arrogant and weak. So just remember, Nietzsche is not a Nazi. He only was made a Nazi posthumously by his Nazi sister. But it's made by a fan of classic Nietzsche, of the idea of overcoming an adversity, and it is not a. You still don't like pre-death Nietzsche? I think pre-death Nietzsche is at least worth studying and has a lot of cool shit to him. He's a weirdo, sure, but his philosophies are cool. It's a story about a man trying to fight the inexorable tides of fate, trying to become someone that can, with the help of others, carry an impossible burden. And it's not realistic, it's hyper-realism. Hyper-realism is exaggerating all of the gritty details of the real world that fiction usually washes away. Even the art style isn't realistic, it's hyper-realism. It exaggerates all of the traits that most artists tend to leave off the page when they draw. And that's why Griffith is drawn light, detailless, floaty, hyper unrealistic, hyper manga in his style as much as he can without leaving the manga looking like a different style, because he's which of his writings are Nazi-esque? One's published after his death. I'll get to that in a moment, don't worry. But hyper-realism isn't about realism, it's about over-the-top investment in what fiction normally ignores of realism. And to people who are used to things like that being ignored in fiction, that feels realistic to them, even though it's not. At least he's better than Stropenhauer, his mentor, that actual creep. I actually know nothing about Stropenhauer. What was your question that people skipped? Let me take a look. You read somewhere there's a thing with the editor. Is there any way to just watch all of Berserk streams you missed after part 14, like raw without any cuts? I have them downloaded. We haven't uploaded them anymore yet. I'll try to do that soon for you. I'll try to do that in the near future. We'll see about that. It'll probably be patron only. I'm not sure yet. And I don't think it's proper books his sister published, because she's not a good enough writer to write a book, but it's a bunch of like notes and shit that were made into Nazi propaganda of like, yeah, the Ubermensch is like a race. It's crazy, dog. But yeah, hyper-realism is really easy to mistake with realism if you don't have the vocabulary to describe why you like it, because it shows you things that most fiction ignores. But that doesn't mean it's actually reflective of realism, of reality. It just means that it is playing explicitly with parts of reality that fiction normally doesn't bother with. And I think, like, there's incredible value to that. It's just, hyper-realism shouldn't be seen as realism. They are very, very different. Like, the intestines in somebody, there's a crazy amount of gore in a body. And normally when people get cut up in fiction, you don't see a lot of that type of gore. And then you have things like Invincible and Berserk that do. But they're not really being realistic about gore, they're being hyper-realistic. They're exaggerating these elements that most fiction doesn't show in this type of gratuity. Someone getting punched through the stomach in Superman, there's just a little bit of blood. And Invincible has a blood fountain and spaghetti unraveling immediately. And it's not that that's realistic, it's that it is playing with and exaggerating things that are normally diminished. It is an inversion. It is undeath, you know? So of course people describe that as realism, but it just isn't. I love Berserk. It's not realistic. It's hyper-realism and melodrama and a lot of philosophical, like, deep dives. What do I think of the idea that some mangaka are too busy drawing to be as well read as they seem? I think that's probably true, and I think their editors help, and they have a lot of friends. From what I understand, Oda has a lot of friends who are very politically and historically educated that he talks with, and it's where he gets a lot of his opinions and ideas about the world. I also think a lot of them did a ton of fucking study and reading while they were in their training years. Cheating is the purest, most true form of human love, says Schopenhauer. Sex is the driving force of any human interaction. Any human claiming to be satisfied is lying to themselves. See, the thing is, it's not based in the term that people use that now, where it means that's cool. That is based in the way of what it used to mean, when based meant speaking your personal truth against what is popular or safe to say. That is classically based, but it's not like based the way we use it now. Switching, are you deliberately misspelling his name? Who knows? We could be. He could be. I think there's not no truth to that statement, but I think the part that's difficult about that statement more than anything is that it decides a moral position on cheating and labels it as positive. Whereas to me, there's no world where it isn't a betrayal of trust with somebody, right? Do you think religion is more messed up? I don't know what you meant, but yeah. Based the way Lil B intended. Is that the origin of based? Is someone named Lil B? Lil Bane? Yo, it's me, Lil Bane. You merely adopted the rap life. I was born in it, molded by it. By the time I'd seen a lyrical verse, I was already a man. You keep forgetting the correct spelling? That's also fair. You're 100% sure Oda has an Indian friend? He couldn't be so accurate with the Indian references? Parash, I think you're wrong. I think you're actually really wrong, and here's the reason. Oda is also shockingly accurate with, like, First Nations shit and, like, traditional France. He is shockingly accurate with how the Japanese acted in World War II to the Chinese. He is shockingly accurate in references to, like, Filipino lore, to Haitian folklore, to, like, the fucking American culture. The thing about Oda is, he is so well versed and accurate in so many world cultures he references that I think he must have friends of a lot of different cultures. Is my mom okay? Is she alive? You're not alive? Damn, dude, what happened? You're in hell still? All right. All right, good luck. You agree with me? That's fair. Yeah, there's kind of very few cultures he touches on where he doesn't have a level of nuance to them. Hey guys, hot take real quick while waiting for Mama. I don't think it was intended this way, but if you ever need a really, really, really good metaphor for Hamas, Palestine, Israel, Zionism, and Benjamin Netanyahu in One Piece, look at Skypiea. You know who I'm talking about. I say all that, and you immediately know which people I'm talking about. That's how good it is. I don't need to say who's who. You know what character represents Hamas, and you think he's based, and that's the only reason anyone's ever uncomfortable with it. When you said driving force of any human interaction, man did mean any human interaction in whatsoever. I think depending on how much you broaden what sex means, he's right. Because if you mean sex as in the act of continued pushing forwards of humanity as a species, then I think he's right. Right? If you think of sex as an act, then he's insane. Right? That's my take. Oh yeah, who's who is definitely from Skypiea and represents Hamas. That's true about him. He means it as in pleasure. Well, then I think he's a lunatic. No, because the Sky people aren't comically evil. One of them is. But also, like, one of the big driving forces in Skypiea, and first of all, remember, this was from a while ago, was our lad, Ganfall, admitting that even when they had a good government, the Skypieans were the bad guys. Very good, but still violence is never the answer. You're wrong. Like, you're just wrong about violence never being the answer, my guy. Did you know that it's, like, statistically provable that more educated people are more likely to believe that violence is sometimes necessary? Violence never being the answer doesn't work. It's wrong. It is often the answer. A lot of the times, your choices are violence or death. And the right answer isn't death. You shouldn't let people kill you just because violence is bad. That's insane. I just like fundamentally disagree with the take that violence is never the answer. If someone is attempting to kill you, violence is the answer. Obviously, if escape is possible, go for it, like run away. But, like, you want to see a culture that truly believes violence is never the answer? It's the Romani, shared ancestors to yours, Indian people. You know what happened to them? They got kicked out of India because the Rajput pass, they didn't like pacifists living in it. And then they are one of the most oppressed and bullied and beaten people in the world. You're pretty sure there are people around in Mangaka, like editors, that are tasked precisely with doing background and cultural research? Yes, but that wouldn't influence the core of writing, and I think that comes from having people in your life that help you with that. Like, obviously there's people who are helping a lot of that, but like, I think Oda comes from a very educated place, and he probably doesn't have time for it. I think there's people in his life. He's already said there's a friend of his that tells him about politics. Let's play a game. Name a right that we got without the burning or decapitating something. There's very few of them. The first civil rights law in history came from King Kamehameha realizing the ills of his actions because a bunch of fishermen beat him with oars. Are you saying Jesus was wrong about turning the other cheek? Then again, he also did whip people. Bad writing. I think forgiveness is good, but I think if the option you have is death or violence, you can choose violence and it's fine. Insert should always be condemned and never be considered. You can think of only two things that actually, yeah, maybe. That's very optimistic take of yours. If you read the whole message, you would understand how you would like it, but understand the need for necessary evil and sin and the idea of objective good. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think ideally, the best situations are always nonviolent ones. The best solutions are nonviolent ones. But I do believe that, like, the best options are rarely available. But probably the second and third best options are usually nonviolent. It's just like, sometimes you're left with no option, you know? One day my mom will be out of tech hell. She's still in there right now. Yeah, I think people forget that a lot of the civil rights laws got pushed forwards right after big riots, not after the big peaceful protests. We glorify Martin Luther King Jr. because he was an incredible uniter. He created a lot of popularity for his movement. But riots were actually what seemed to correlate better to the civil rights laws being passed. So, like, you know, the riots kind of did work is all I'm saying. I love beverages, man. I love beverages. I'm a big beverage believer. One day my mom will be back. Berserk is good. I think I stand by that. I think the people who talk about it being brutal just truly don't understand what they're getting. We're reading 306. We read 307 even. I read 307. It's got a tree in it. It's crazy. Life is a roguelike game, and often you're dealt with a bad hand. That's a way to put it. Violence is the last resort, but still a resort. Yeah, I think that's a fair way to put it. Yeah. I think the social public threat of violence is better than violence. I think a protest that is non-violent but makes clear how much might rests within the will of the people is ideal. I think the best you can do to affect real change is a protest that destroys no property, kills nobody, and makes it very clear how much of the world you are willing to burn as a collective if you don't get your way. I think that is the best pursuit of change. Because I think anything short of that, and the elites in charge of society do not give a shit that you protested. They truly do not care. But I think a protest that manages to stay nonviolent while creating a very implicit threat of violence is incredibly effective. This sounds like a post-football, right? No, they attack cops. They beat people. I don't want that. I want a very controlled vibe of, we will obliterate this city if we don't get our way. I think that's actually a great way to do a protest. Even the British narrative for freedom of India is a whitewashing of the Indian story, where they put Gandhi's non-violence was the reason to leave, but it was actually mass riots. That makes sense! Because they want to teach the world that the elites want you to believe that non-violence is the solution. Basically, what's going on in Albania. I didn't know they were up to that. Good on them. But the elites have more firepower. It doesn't matter. That has literally never mattered in history. The elites have very rarely been willing to just gun people down to get their way in mass, if in a large enough numbers. And the reason is, They need people to work the fields. They need buildings to exist for people to work in. They need people to serve them. They need people to rule. The reason mass threat of violence works is not because you can win the fight. It's because if you don't win the fight, the damage is so severe that their worth is destroyed. It is the threat of violence en masse is not the threat of violence. It is the threat of annihilation. It is the threat of either we win or you lose, which is pretty, it's why it works. It regularly works. The anarchy and chaos of mass riots is not good for the people who rule. They want hopelessness. Yeah, more or less. Antonio Gramsci put it best. It's always going to be a struggle between the have-nots and the haves, where the haves will always try to put restrictions to entry, and the whole life of have-not to cross. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Peter Thiel wouldn't care about or offing half the population. Yeah, he wants it, but he's something new, man. I don't know what Peter Thiel counts as. That guy's his own shit. We have not seen an elite in history before him that wants that. Got to respond to someone quick. Then do strikes. If you do nothing, you can threaten the same thing. Yeah, absolutely. I think mass strikes are actually great too. People are rarely organized for them. But yeah. He's the Antichrist. He's kind of the Antichrist. Wouldn't there always be those who capitulate and not stand together? Yes, for sure. Usually not enough of them to make up for the damage. Tealism is the new ideology. Yeah, if we're up against Tealism, things are pretty different. I don't know what you do about that fucker. Peter Thiel is a type of evil that is unique and new to the world. Most evil people throughout history believe in humanity, and they just want their vision of humanity. They want Ozymandias. They want you to look upon their works and tremble. This man truly believes in transhumanism to the point that he believes flesh and blood bodies are a weakness, and only the elite's minds should be uploaded to exist as a static digital consciousness forever. It is truly nonsense. Fast Country only got semi-independence after making the successor of Franco fly home with the homemade explosives. Fast Country, whoa, fuck, whoa. You know how to throw a party. You know how to pour wine and throw a party. You know how to make chocolate cake and throw a party. Damn. You know how to operate the longest living operable lighthouse and throw a party. Also, they know how to host a Guggenheim. Queer-owned business means nothing anymore with OpenAI and Palantir. I always forget Thiel's gay. That's funny. Isn't Thiel inevitable like Trump was? His type of thing, his philosophy is kind of unique. In general, the conquest of the elites is kind of inevitable, but figures like Thiel and the evangelical apocalypse cult are not inevitable. They are insane outliers of a particular brand of evil. I'm getting messages here. What's up? What's up? What else we got? Hey, yo, Mama Drawk, you hanging? Have you tried plugging in like a different headphone? I'm guessing your computer volume is on, like you checked that in the bottom right corner. Okay. It's not muted. You don't have a mute button on. Huh. I mean, I will just jam with the squishies until you're available. In worst case, I guess we delay till next week, which is a hilarious thing to happen. Do you think you can just call the Discord on your phone again, and maybe we'll just do it that way until we can fix your computer? We can do shitty sound today. I think shitty sound for one day is livable. All right, we're going to do shitty sound, everybody. She's going to call in on her iPad. How many chapters are we reading? Today we read 22 chapters. 22 of the little guys. It's on brand. It is on brand. Fair enough. Let's try this. It's not. Yeah. Yeah. I will say, I say Trump is inevitable and he represents something that happened because of the inevitable collapse of liberalism, the inability to defend liberalism, the weakness of the Democrats. What I will add to that, very important addition to that, very important to note, the specific type of insane he is was not inevitable. These forces manifesting was inevitable. The particular insane, unhinged way these forces have coagulated was not inevitable. It's like Hamas was inevitable. Them being as brutal as they are was not inevitable, right? The way inevitable forces manifests from conditions is never guaranteed. And I will say the US has produced some particularly fucking insane manifestations of inevitable forces. Peter Thiel, as a coagulation of the corrupt elite, is a unique, bizarre evil. So is Elon Musk. This is a discussion stream, not reading. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is a discussion. For anybody who doesn't know about Peter Thiel, show up to the Saturday politics streams. He's my nemesis. Peter Thiel's my nemesis. That's the important part you need to know. His embodiment is York from One Piece, and I've already discussed it before. I don't want to get into it again. Oh, yo, you here? She's working on it. One day. Ooh, my neck. Are they as brutal as we've been told? These chapters, which the chapters of Berserk that we read, is that as brutal as we were told? No, it was pretty chill. It was really cool, really cool. This isn't the brutal part. I think the brutal part's to come. We're getting some hints of what's to come.
Yeah.
Yo, she's here. All right, I have to re-announce this to the Squishums.
Okay. I can't see the squishies yet, so I gotta get another thing going so I can see the squishes.
Okay. Welcome everybody to the Drawk Show. It's Mama Drawk here about talking Berserk.
What the hell was that?
I don't know. I do stuff, man.
You sure that was stuff?
Yeah, I just do stuff here at the show
Oh.
that I have. It's where I do stuff.
Hey,
would you like to say hello to the audience?
I also say stuff and do stuff on this show. I consider me to be this show as well.
Okay. We read Berserk this week. Did you know about that? We can't do anything else, I don't think, because you did take we took 40 minutes to get here, so I think actually we need to just get to it.
Well, if I'm gonna be honest with you, the fact that I'm here is a fucking miracle. Because the computer, I went through all the troubleshooting through the Windows thing and all of the stuff, and basically at the end it was like, I don't know, man, that doesn't make sense. And I was like, wow, thanks. Wow.
Hey, can you vouch with me here? Because I've been saying it for Snola, not a critic, because I don't think they believe me. Can you confirm what I've said? That despite being a horrible read in so many ways for the pain it puts you through, Berserk is fundamentally about resilience and hope. Would you confirm that for Not a Critic and Snoll, who don't believe me?
It's hard to believe when you're reading it, because I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's brutal.
Because it's pretty fucking brutal, but it is about the hope you have as a collective and how to, you know what, it keeps reminding me of this guy, this environmentalist, and his kind of take on how community is the whole thing that keeps you alive, gives you hope, and therefore will fix things. And that's kind of what it is.
Okay, Not a Critic is right. He never displayed me, just Snoll. It is about that. I love how much it's about like community and connectedness, and how connection with people and finding other fucked up dark people with problems just makes life better. Keeping going with other people at your side, especially this part, I feel like was so about that.
I'm not gonna lie though, this part also made you feel like maybe Griffith was necessary.
It's partially, but it also, like, fucked up because it makes you realize why the world sees him that way. It shows you what a shonen protagonist he is, what a, like, chosen by God, divine providence sort of light he appears to be in the world. And it's honestly terrifying how much the world is aligning to make Griffith the hero, and it's crazy.
Oh, he's coming off full hero in this, and it's upsetting because we know what a little bitch he is.
The moment where everything's been arranged for him to convince soldiers to fight alongside demons, where Sonya is like, don't you see? It doesn't matter what they are, it matters whose side they're on. And they're cooperating with the apostles, and the apostles are being humanized, and their humanity is being rekindled, should be an inspiring scene in, like, anything else. These dark entities, these creatures of ambition and ego that are the darkness of humanity, people who have given up their love and connections for power, are just as Guts and his friends are regaining their human connections, and it feels just as uplifting as it feels fucking terrifying because they're up against the strongest apostle, someone who did everything he could to turn his men into ego. He turned them into soldiers that were just reflections of his ambition, and to the point that he himself lost all of that humanity in the other apostles that sided with Griffith. Whereas Griffith's apostles somehow have enough of their ego left intact to form bonds. It's so weird, right?
When I was watching it, I was thinking about the difference in power and how people are able to... Okay, there's so many levels of irony here.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Bodhi Dude is definitely English. And
okay,
yet,
can we do you want to? Can I talk about myself being dumb?
wait,
I know I just did a rant, but can I talk about me
I
being
want to
dumb
say
before I
this
give you
one
some
thing
space?
first, and then you can go into that.
Okay.
He's so obviously English, and yet it basically tells you the whole history through Griffith, and through the... what's his face again? The guy who turns into the world's most giant tall worm.
You're gonna call that a worm?
A worm with feet.
Emperor Ganishka.
Thank you. I couldn't remember, and I
was
kept
thinking
not
of him as a
wanting to...
big tree made of faces.
I just didn't want to call him Ganishka because I keep feeling like I'm going to say Ganesh, and then I'm going to be really rude. Anyway,
Ganesh and Ganeshka are different than Ganishka. We must be clear.
exactly. So my one problem is I think it's really hilarious because it teaches you that this guy who tried to take over and take away the ego and the individuality of his people is the one who's going to end up failing. But Griffith, who's more like the English in the way that he's like, oh no, we can totally take over everyone and expect them to be us. But we're a collective us. And I want you to still feel your you-ness as long as you think I'm so cool, you want to follow me. And And so when I was reading it and then watching the other guy sail away in his captainhood and be like, we don't have to be a part of this craziness, I'm like, you are! You're the English! This is insane!
Oh God, there's so much I want to talk about. This section of 22 chapters is so thematically dense, isn't it?
Yes, so crazy.
There's so many themes to talk about. Holy fuck, I just want to keep going. But I want to talk about me being dumb for a second, where last time I was like, okay, most of the countries seem to be a stand-in for a piece of fantasy Europe. And Roderick, I can't place. Everyone's referring to him like he's a foreign barbarian lord, and he comes from an island land, and he's a sailor, but he acts and talks like a proper gentleman like any of them. But then he talks about how his land still has a lot of pagan rituals, and how even though he worships almost the exact same thing, almost the exact same church as the Holy See, which represents Catholicism, he doesn't actually listen to the deacon, the parish. I forget what his actual name is. The Pope, effectively. What is he supposed to represent? And then he's fighting pirates, and his guns are so much better, and his boat is so much faster, and he has so many more sails, and he's so much better at sailing, and I go, oh my God, he's the English! Oh my God,
I-
Roderick is British. That's why everyone sees him as a barbarian. Pontiff, thank you. That's why everyone sees him as a barbarian, and that's why his land has pagan rituals, and that's why his church is almost the same as the Holy See, but doesn't follow the pontiff. And that's why he's a famous sailor, and he has an incredible boat with incredible cannons. He's fucking British. Of course, these southern Italian aristocrats see an English admiral sailing prince as a barbarian. Because he's not
Yeah.
Catholic, and he basically is a privateer as far as Central Europe would be considered. That's so fucking good.
And I had always just seen him as English, but just didn't say, "Oh, this guy's English."
Oh.
I just seen him, and then you were like, "Oh no, he's English," and I was like, "Yeah." And then I stopped and was like, "Yeah," which makes this even more screwed up because I already saw him as English, but then we see one group of people who are colonizing through, you all have to be identical to me, and one group of people who are colonizing through, you get to be a little bit you as long as you think I'm the best. You're like, oh my God, they're showing the two different main types of colonization, and meanwhile the English guy is just leaving and not being a part of it. That's so un-English.
Hey, Roderick is one guy though. He's not the king yet, so he doesn't have to represent all of England. Also, he's not the firstborn, so I don't think he's likely to be king. He's just a guy. He's just a guy in a boat. I do love Roderick, and I continue to. And the fact that he's actually, like, so savvy and such a man of his word is amazing. I also love that because these are British sailors, they're like, oh, don't quite like these fairies. And then they're like, these are wind spirits. The sailors are like, love these guys. These blokes rule. That's such a fucking funny bit.
Hey, Roderick better not ever suck, because so far he's my favorite. Like
Dude,
he's been on stage for 7 seconds, and I'm like, ooh, I like him.
can
Um,
I tell you, isn't he trying to make a political marriage to a neighboring country? Yeah, but he's standing by his values while doing it. He's just trying to be impressive for real. No, can I be real? When we first started to find out he didn't suck, kept being like, he reminds me of Jerome. Now I gotta be like, yo, sorry for insulting you, Roderick, by comparing you to Jerome. I love Jerome.
Ew.
This guy's like 3 Jeromes.
I hate Jerome. This guy's nothing like Jerome. This guy is
You
the
liked
one.
Jerome.
Jerome was whatever.
Fuck, man. I love Roderick. The fact I was like, oh no, Guts is in a really bad shape. Like, okay, can we talk about how it's impressive that the manga continues to actually really take seriously Guts being injured? Because I keep being like, well, what does it matter if he's just gonna get up and keep doing shit? But it felt like this section really, really took seriously the consequences of pushing himself in his armor over and over again the past few arcs.
And I felt like what was something that was very interesting about this section is usually it skips around in a way where it's like, we're going to be a little bit esoteric and make you guess about things. And this one felt so laid out.
Yeah, everything was really clear.
Yeah. It was like, and I love these new little things at the beginning of the chapters with the overview of what's occurring. We should have done that earlier.
That was cool. I really, really appreciated getting to show Roderick shine by having a ship battle and having him be like, no, Guts has done enough. I can handle this. And like, there's 3 fucking boats. Are you sure? And showing off the power of his cannons made me realize, despite how strong Guts is, I genuinely don't think Guts would have been a help anyways, because he was blowing up these ships from such a distance that literally, what was Guts gonna fucking do? Roderick is just this ace captain with an incredible crew that he appreciates and communicates well with, and it was so fucking cool to see him be like, no, Guts, you lay back. I fucking got this, man. Ilani says Guts would have been a help if they got boarded and not before. Absolutely. Unless they got boarded, he didn't need to do shit. Fucking Roderick had this.
But wasn't it just so excited for it to not always be about fucking Guts? And Roderick just got to be like, ugh, go lay down, dude. Like, you're seriously in my way. I'm going to ask you to just piss all the way off so that I can get shit done. And Guts goes in the water, not able-bodied, to save Casca. And then Roderick's like, Jesus Christ, and has to save Guts. And I'm just like, hey, Guts, maybe stay in your broken lane and let this man do his thing. Because Roderick could have jumped in the water and saved fucking Casca.
Honestly, yeah, it turns out he's pretty good at swimming. The reminder, though, that Guts is just using a prosthesis and it's only good for fighting was such a brutal and well done scene.
And also the way that they said it, where he was just like, I shoved this piece of heavy metal onto my arm, and I forgot that it doesn't have like this subtle touch to make it
Yeah.
make him feel less human, as if this thing somehow separates him from his humanity.
Yeah.
He can't have the subtleness of touch and feel. It's just a giant wedge.
And it makes sense that that's how he feels because it's his scar from Griffith. And instead of replacing it with a prosthesis for living or working, he got a prosthesis for fighting. It can do three things: hold a sword, punch, and shoot a cannonball. Like realizing how much of a
all
weapon
those
he
things
is.
are helpful if you're fighting, but all of those things are not helpful if you are rescuing a person going to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, if you're grabbing someone's hand, if you're trying to swim, it doesn't help at all. And that realization was so fucking good. And the realization of how even if Casca gets better, things will never be as they were. Ilani, another great insight. Absolutely. It was very introspective.
Did anyone else just want to punch Casca in the tit? Like, is that just me? I'm so tired of this dumb girl just like,
hey, can I be real? Farnese does.
Yeah, no, Farnese is right. I've never agreed with Farnese's evilness before, but in this one, I was like, he really needs to just be able to have a life and get better and not have somebody who's so broken that they don't even know not to climb up masts and edges of boats and fall off. Like, seriously, fuck off. It's time for you to get tied to a chair.
Can we talk about how it's very interesting that the series is giving a lot of time to Shirky and Sonya's age inappropriate crushes, but it's also not being like this is a good thing. It's being like the series is giving it time and being like, yo, girls, this is not productive.
Oh, also, I just want to say, Engelsimp, of course, you can't punch Casca in the tit, but I can, in theory, punch Casca in the tit.
The issue is she seems to have some muscle memory left, so she might actually, like, block it and punch your throat and run away.
Good. Maybe if somebody started trying to punch her in the tit more often, she would wake the hell up.
Oh, dude, I just thought of something crazy. Hear me out on something, right?
Go.
You there?
I'm here.
In this section, we get Shirky referencing that you can fight nightmares, but you might just be more of a burden if their nightmares are too deep. We have her referencing, even though Guts clearly thinks of Casca as his person, they had a special bond because their souls connected. We have Farnese being angry at Casca and wishing she could heal herself and be okay again. And we have Farnese learning how to become astral. What if we're going to get Farnese trying to fight Casca's nightmares?
First of all, my thinking around that was, what if the way that our little witch went in for Guts and pulled him out of that darkest place when he goes wild? I started to wonder, why can't that same thing happen for Casca, and then why wouldn't it be Farnese? Why? And then because she's actually training, why wouldn't Farnese go in there and pull her out of the thing she's become?
Right? I think it could be cool, right?
Yeah.
God, man. Do we want to keep talking? Let's keep talking about the boat people before we get back to the
coolest idea too? Because then nobody would have to punch her in the tit.
You know what would be the craziest thing if she went in there? He knows too much. Okay. You know what would be the coolest thing if they went in there? Even if she couldn't fix it, if she got to talk to the real Casca within her.
Ugh. It would just be nice to know one existed.
I think that'd be the coolest if she wasn't strong enough before they get to the Elf Kingdom to fix her, but if she could connect with and talk to the real Casca and see, like, how much she appreciates Farnese.
To the Elf Kingdom. We're gonna fix Casca in the Elf Kingdom.
That does seem to be the thing, yeah.
Oh God, thank God. I'm so bored of her right now. Oh, I'm Casca. I'm just gonna fall off a boat. Ugh.
I I love that if Serpico sits on the crow's nest, the sylphs around him get so excited and playful that the ship speeds up. He's a fucking motor. That's hilarious.
It's adorable. I like how they talked about, oh, they're using you. And I was like, they're not using you. Be so
That's
for
why they're
real
not
right
using.
now.
Um,
That's not it. That's like saying somebody is using you for friendship.
I think it's also, um, it was so goddamn funny, to see Roderick seem to think that Serpico was a competition for Farnese's love, and Serpico's vibe to be just like, hey, you don't really understand the situation, but I fucking okay.
Yeah, I'm not trauma shaming. I just don't want to have to watch it Twitch. Like this level, it's not even like trauma. Like she's not sitting in the corner grasped up holding her knees. She's just become a 1-year-old who can walk. Like literally, I'm shocked we don't see her sucking her fingers and wearing diapers. The way she's like, "What? I walkies out online. Oh, I fall off boat. Oh no, bad me." It's stupid.
I
She's walking around like a 1-year-old who has like dexterity, and I'm just like, she's not a third grade level. I've taught third grade kids. They're smart and intelligent. She wishes she was third. I could handle her if she was third grade. She's a 1-year-old in a woman's body, and it's too much because she
I
is the problem. I'd put her
I
on a
feel
leash.
I feel like, um how to put this? How to put this? I feel like Murata, Mura, sorry, not Murata, that's a different guy. That's a different guy Angle said. Mura knew that he wanted this story first and foremost to be about Guts' pain. And fucking
Yeah.
up Casca as badly as he did was the best way to give Guts pain. But because that meant fridging the main female character, I think what he did to Casca has been motivation to make the other female characters awesome, which is why we've gotten so many very compelling women outside of Casca. Because before then, the female characters was like Casca, Charlotte, and the Queen. And since Casca got brain blasted, we've had an incredible run of some of the best characters in the series being the women that we're dealing with.
And thank God, because I hate Casca now. And I'm just going to
And I
put
think
that right out
because
there.
Casca is now only a vehicle for Guts' pain is why we're getting so many great female characters.
Can I tell you a thought that I had about Casca? And I do hate
Yep.
her. I want to be so for real. I hate who she's become. If I was Casca, just put me in front of an 18 wheeler. If this happens to me, just be like, this is not what mama wants. Um, because I started to wonder whether or not he was making Casca to be his own illness. If she was that burden that you carry around and that you're trying to have a life and you're trying to get ahead and you're trying to think positively and you're trying to save yourself and save others, but you're constantly being pulled down and forced to do all these other things that you just don't want to fucking do, that keep coming at you and at you. And no matter what you do and how you try to get better, there's this thing in your life that keeps pulling in you. She feels like his illness.
I could see that. I could see that. I
Yeah.
think you could either see the reason I think I like that is because the other alternative would be to see the Beast of Darkness as the illness, but the Beast of Darkness doesn't feel like illness. It feels like a personality flaw. It feels like your resentment
No,
towards
yeah.
that illness.
No. No,
Yeah.
Atari, I've had to care for people, and that is very different. This is a character in a manga. And
Yep.
this character in a manga, when I go into my reading, I don't go in to get um more trauma and have to deal with somebody who's
Yep.
this isn't even a real thing. I've cared
Yep.
for people who are in death. This is a very different thing. And caring for people who get brain injuries is also very different. This feels like intentionally like he's created this character because she isn't even like she doesn't reflect any of the ways that people become like mentally ill or the ways that people become sick. She's a whole different thing that is such a different layer of burden, and that's why I started to wonder if she represented his sickness, because I was like, Guts could do all these things with his life. He could do so much. He has such the ability to fight off all these different things, but every time he tries to, Casca is burdening him. And so I started to be like, and it's an important part of him too, right? Like Casca is soul bound and it's burdening him. So I started to wonder if Casca was his own personal hell, his own illness.
I want to tie that into something that someone said earlier. Angelsimp brought up that at this point, Mira's illness had gotten so bad that these were coming out in a crawl of a chapter every couple of between weeks to years. Like stretches could be very varied because we're reaching the point we're nearing now. I think it is. I was right, and it's 320 that we switched to the new author. I think we are nearing where he died and his illness was stopping him from working as much as he wanted to. And I think when you look at that, Guts was already in bad shape with his burns. And now we have Guts, the character who reflects a lot of Mura's ambitions and how he wants to live, be sidelined by having to dive in after this weakness and then being left even further in recovery. Whoa, we're 60 chapters away? Okay, I did misremember, but we're getting closer.
Yeah.
But yeah, this idea of him becoming further sidelined and needing to rely more on his friends to carry the story in this section
Yes.
is pretty fucking brutal. Oh, 365. I remembered a different number. Okay, we're still a little ways away, but we're getting close. And we are at a point where his illness was holding him back. And like, I could see that. And I don't think that's what Casca was meant to be earlier on, but like,
I don't think so either.
I think like by this point, I think the way she's being used, I could definitely see at least inspiration from him coping with illness.
Yeah, because it's all consuming. It's just all consuming. You're thinking nothing but your illness, and then you have a moment of happiness, and then you're like, fuck, but I'm still sick. And it drags you right back down. Like you're like, oh, this amazing thing happened, and this friend and I had the greatest visit. I'm still sick and am dying. And that's what Casca feels like. We won this thing, we escaped this thing, we're going to this place. Oh, she's still here.
Yeah.
She's still not who she's supposed to be. And that's what it starts to feel like. And him reaching, there's this moment when he reaches for her that was really interesting. And you know that I like to read into things, but when he's reaching for her and she's trying to fall off the boat, his nails, which are supposed to look rough, actually looked heart-shaped. His nail, and it was on page 21 of 238 and in the first chapter that we read. And each one of his nails as he's reaching forth look like hearts on them, that he's trying to reach out with love and understanding, and she's like, fuck you, and goes into the water. There was no need for her to keep running up there and then jump into the water. She's a petulant little cow who will not do the things to save herself and acts like a complete donut. And so it felt like he was doing everything he could to reconcile and still have his love for her. And she intentionally wanted to make his life a living hell. And you can see that because then he chose to have Farnese be like, I just want to beat the shit out of you. And I'm like, so true, Farnese. So true.
I was so expecting you to be mad at Farnese, and I love that instead you're like, you're right, girl.
Well, it's so over the top. Let me go up the gangplank and force a person who was on near death's door, who actually has the potential to help save the world, potentially die. No, go away.
Can we talk about how it is so cool that in the very little time the boat crew gets in this section, Farnese, Serpico, Ozan, Isidro, Guts, and Shirky are all having their character arcs progress. And Roderick.
Yeah. Oh, Roderick, you're just such a bright spot in a Casca-rich chapter.
I want to talk about two little parts on the boat. Guys, what's Farnese's brother called? Do we remember Doofus's name?
Farnese's who?
Farnese's doofus brother.
The doofus one? No. Weird doofus boy.
Guys, what's the doofus brothers? Magnifico? Okay, I'm gonna say Magnifico.
Oh god, that's a terrible name. No wonder I didn't remember it.
Magnifico, the scene where he's like, think about it. We can conquer the land of the elves. And Roderick is so not into it and is like, look, I think you should bring it up with him as a way to highlight how savvy he is, that he knows Puck is there, and to be like, now Puck will get angry. And Minifico is like, you could be king of the elves, and immediately starts to be on his side. And you can tell that Roderick's reaction is, that's not what I wanted to happen. This is not the result I was looking for. Fuck, man. Shit. Okay. Wow.
That whole scene was so ridiculous. They try to make it look like Puck is but Puck knows he's not going to be king of the fucking elves. He's not an idiot. So all Puck is doing is like, okay, well, let's use this guy and his want to take over, and in the meantime, boss him around. And you could tell that Roderick knew exactly what was up, and he was like, "Oh, that sounds good. You can take care of this little bitch and keep him out of my hair." Because honestly, there's no way that Puck is like, yeah, we're going to get there. We're going to take over the entire Elfington Island.
Can I tell you the vibe that Minifico and Roderick give me?
Yeah.
They give me the vibe of, these two managed to be friends because they were never in the shit is real place. They were just in the we're little nobles hanging out. And I don't think Roderick ever knew how useless Minifico was when shit got real and there was actual stuff to be done until now. And is now like, fuck, man, I don't think I like you anymore.
You know what vibe they gave me, and I was thinking about that was super funny,
Yeah.
is when two guys are friends and the one guy is like, this guy's the real one and I really like him and he's great. And then like one day he sees him doing things and then it starts to break the glass, and then all of a sudden one day he sees him for real and he's looking at them and he's like, oh, fuck me, have I been defending this loser all this time? Oh, this is so embarrassing. Do other people think I'm like him? Oh my god, am I like him? Is that
one? Oh man,
because he's such a loser.
Guys, I'm fine with Puck becoming comedic relief because, like, the holes in the story that Puck was holding together with all of his little elf strength have been patched. Like, having Shirky as a lens into the magical, having Isidro as someone to look after and who cares about him, having Farnese as someone who looks up to him, having Serpico as someone who has his back, like, all of the things that Puck was desperately trying to do have been filled. Let the little guy rest and be Flanderized, guys. It's fine. He wants to be a little comedic relief guy. He was doing every single thing for Guts, and now we have people for that. And Puck can relax. And what we've learned from them doing it is Puck was never that good at magic. He didn't actually know much about magic ever.
When people are like, he's just not that smart. I disagree, because Puck was holding it all together for so fucking long. And it feels like Puck is finally being able to be like, oh, thank God, now somebody else can watch this little cow at night when all the demons come out to play with his brain. I'm so tired. I'm just so tired.
Exactly. I think Puck is just thrilled that there's other people to help him take care of this man.
Exactly. He was out here by himself for a while with Guts and Casca. Like,
it was, oh my God, yeah.
This, like, can you imagine? And then when Guts goes wonko, I'm going to tell you why he goes wonko. It starts with a C and it ends with a ah. Just makes him crazy. You know what I realized? One of the things that makes me the most uncomfortable in this piece all the time is showing Casca butt naked, because she's a 1-year-old in a woman's body and you keep showing her body like it's a sexual image for viewing, and it feels like everyone is out here perceiving her nakedness in a womanly way when she's 1 year old. Casca should never be allowed to be in any scenes where she's naked. You could bathe her behind a wall.
You actually raise a good point where I feel like, genuinely, I'm not joking, the poses and angles we see Farnese with nowadays are less sexualizing than the ones we see Casca in.
Exactly.
When Farnese is a character whose sexuality is a big part of her character and whose arc is about autonomy.
Yes. And also when the two of them were in the bathing scene where I'm like, we don't need to see Casca's body. And we don't need to see Farnese constantly on her knees in front of Casca. And we don't need this to look sexualized. And the fact that you're doing it, I don't care, Kenny boy. That is perv number one. Because if you're going to create a character who's a 1-year-old in a woman's body, making her be the sexualized one when Farnese is the one whose sexuality has actually been a part of this piece. Casca's sexuality wasn't, other
No.
than her being in love with Guts.
Yeah,
and
well,
them
her sexuality
having
only
sex.
existed as a part of love, whereas for Farnese, it
Exactly.
exists outside of love as a part of her character.
Exactly. So every single time I see her naked, I'm just like, get a wall, put her
Well,
behind something and give this girl some privacy. It makes me
and-
feel grossed out.
And not only that, but like if you were gonna sexualize a female character, like Farnese, not only a sexuality is part of her character, but her entire arc right now is about autonomy, independence, learning to be self-reliant, learning to connect with others. Like, I don't know, the person who has lost all of that, it does feel a lot weirder too.
Yeah.
Not
And
to
then
speak
if some
ill, but
people
haven't he
might
been
defend
alleged to be
it,
a lolicon? Most Japanese men have. To be
I
fair.
think that if people defend it, they're just not keeping in mind that even if he meant something else by it, which I don't think he did, to be fair, even if he meant something else by it, that's not how the readers are going to read it. The icky, gross people are just going to be like, "Ugh, naked girl," and it creates kind of a pedo atmosphere in the way that you are perceiving the nakedness of a person who doesn't have mental clarity or the ability to consent. And that's why I keep feeling like we are looking at this person who doesn't have the ability to consent makes me barfy. Maybe that's why I hate her so much right now. Because they're trying to make her both sexual and a 1-year-old at the same time, that it makes me angry and uncomfortable. That might be what it is.
I am so hoping that we get a deep dive of I hope I'm right and Farnese gets to contact the real Casca. That would feel so vindicating for her.
It would make me feel way better.
Yeah.
And I hope Casca's like, quit looking at me naked and draw something else, you perv. You know what would be really fun is if we broke a. Can you imagine you're reading a manga and out of nowhere there's some situation like that where one of the characters just breaks the fourth wall and talks directly to the artist? That'd be fun. I would really appreciate that.
There's one last scene that I wanted to talk about in the boat part.
Yeah.
What was your read on the moment where the Beast of Darkness decides to settle in
Wait, can you
its
stop
chains?
this for 2 seconds, Drawk? Fruit, it isn't that it's just supposed to be the way that Guts sees her. The bath scene is just her and Farnese, and that happens time and again. It'll just be her
Yeah,
and
I will
somebody,
say-
and Guts is nowhere to be. I'm not talking about when she's leaning on the railing and we see the outline of her rump, and Guts is looking at her as a woman, then having guilt. That's a different thing.
Yeah, all of the scenes where it's clearly from Guts' POV hit very differently because his guilt about still being attracted to her when she can't consent is like a plot point. Like,
Yeah.
that perspective always feels way different than when she's on her own or with Farnese.
When she's having a bath with Farnese and it's being done in a way that's too sexualized. Guts is nowhere to be seen. That's not what it's for. Okay, do your darkness.
What was your read? Because I think mine's gonna be very different than most people's on the scene with the Beast of Darkness being yoked and saying, this can't hold me forever. I'm gonna bide my time. Your fate has been sealed. Everything you love will be destroyed. What did you feel in that scene?
Yeah, the interesting thing is that I'm too old for that to be scary because I've long ago confronted my Beast of Darkness.
Yeah.
And I understand that having your fear of the darkness that's inside of you is actually much more debilitating than the darkness itself. And that just allowing that darkness to come all the way out and confronting it and being like, no, that's me. I see it. I see you, bitch.
Yep.
That it can tell you that it's going to consume your life and it can tell you that it's going to take everything over. But its threats, in this case, the bark is much worse than its bite. I, in fact, think that's where it comes from for me. So,
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Not only did I have the same read as you, but this scene felt genuinely uplifting to me. Ilani was saying that this feels terrifying because it's like, oh my God, it's going to rise up. No, to me, I have accepted the idea that just like you, that whatever darkness you hate about yourself is truly part of you. That
Yeah.
anytime you manage to dismiss it and move past it, it will always linger within you like fucking
Yeah.
tuberculosis. It doesn't
Yeah.
go away. And the idea that your love of your friends is so powerful that right now all it can do is bide its time is
Yeah.
genuinely exhilaratingly powerful. That is the absolute best case scenario that you could ever hope for. The idea that the darkness within you is so overwhelmed by the love of the people around you that
Yeah.
all it can do is wait. I don't know. That felt really good to me. I loved it. You didn't say
I
terrifying.
literally
You said it
was
mirrors the
like,
demons. You stand by it. All right, all right. But I still feel, to me, it was a very positive scene. The idea that it becomes so weak that in this place of comfort with his friends, even when he has a brutal fever and is covered in burns, all it can do is wait.
I also liked it when he was like, I'm going to skulk off for a minute. So, in other words, you don't have the energy to stay because you're that weak. The darkness
Yep.
is that weak inside of you right now that it has
Yep.
to skulk off and hope for another moment. Like, he's very, very sick. He's very, very, very injured, and you still need to skulk
Yep.
off. Oh, yeah. You know what? Take a seat, bitch.
Yep. I
Next. Because, like, I think a lot of people forget that they think that they're the only ones with horrible dark thoughts, and they think they're the only ones who the darkness rages inside, and it scares them because everyone acts like they're all Pollyann light and airy, which is one of the reasons that I try not to always act all Pollyann light and airy, because when people recognize that you're just actually being yourself and saying some of the dark shit out loud. Not all of it, people. There's way more layers of darkness. But when you do that, I think it's really helpful for other people, because too often people are made to feel that if they leaned into their darkness and confronted it, that would make them dark. They would stay in those places and create a path. Whereas what you actually need to do is, yeah, we all have this shit. It's a matter of looking at it and then choosing not to live in it. That, there you go. Secret. Look at it, know that it's a part of you, and choose not to live in it. If need be, yeah, I could do some nasty things if needs be. And I was in a terrible situation, but I don't live in it. I just am aware it can happen. Oh, well, that's
I
being human.
well said, dude. Like I genuinely agree. I think to me it was a very positive scene. The entire thing on the boat, I love how much, despite Guts being virtually incapacitated the entire time, how much it's about Guts because you see how his presence has shaped the people around him. And I think this was just a cool part for that.
I loved the boat because I felt like the demons couldn't find him in the same way. It was almost like the water wouldn't allow him to be surrounded. His
Granted,
friendships were the thing that surrounded him.
he is
And I
having the
loved
talisman reapplied though, which I think is why.
that was good, but before the talisman was even reapplied, it wasn't the same. And the thing that I thought was the very best of it is there was another human in his life in that moment who genuinely was the stronger person and the more abled person, and that
Yeah.
he got to be a backseat boy, and that must have been
Dude,
a tremendous feeling.
Roderick is the first human we've seen protect Guts.
Yes. Yeah.
I
Well,
didn't think
oh
about that.
no. Yeah, we had all of them protect and fight for each other, but he
Yeah,
is the first one we've seen just protect Guts.
yeah. Like,
Yeah.
he led his crew to protect Guts and let him sleep in the
Yes.
hold while the fight happened. That is, oh
Yes.
my god, I didn't think about that. That was great.
Yep. Like, and then Guts waking up from down there and saying, like, it's dark down here, let's go back out into the light. That was
Yeah,
a very interesting thing. Oh, wait, your sister is calling me, so I'm
okay.
just gonna remind her that I'm here
Yeah,
right now.
Raph, people are right. You have to remember,
I'm
you think of the
on
boat
the
as having
show
taken
right
forever
now.
because it came out over years. The
Close?
boat's gonna be a few chapters for us. We're not gonna be sick of the boat. The boat is gonna fly by in the blink of a goddamn eye, dude. We don't need to live on this boat like you did. Same for you? Okay, fair. The boat is something I think people who were reading weekly complained about because they weren't. They were reading annually. But, like, for us, the boat is just gonna... I would actually love to do Evangelion. I've heard great things. I obviously, cultural osmosis, I know some stuff about it, but, like, man, I stand by. I think Berserk is a great series to read. It is one of the best to talk about. Talking about Berserk is so much fun. There's so much to this series.
Your sister wanted me to know that she forgot to give your dad the baked goods as he baked us.
No strawberry rhubarb cookies for you.
Oh shit, it was the strawberry rhubarb cookies?
Yeah, and some strawberry rhubarb crumble.
I am genuinely upset now. I didn't know it was strawberry rhubarb. No wonder she had to call me.
Okay. So because of Mira's illness, the people who were reading this when it was coming out were stuck on this boat for 8 years and 6 months, and we're going to
8
get through it in
years
like
and
2 reading
6
sections.
months. This must feel like to people, this must feel like that Bubble World or like Wano. I fucking love Wano, and I think anyone who doesn't love Wano doesn't love it because they had to read it for so long. Because I love Wano.
Do you wanna hear something really funny? Hunter
What?
x Hunter is very slowly coming out right now because of a severe illness from the mangaka. You want to know where they are right now?
Oh, are they on a boat?
They're on a boat!
That's fucking terrible. Why
When
is
your
everyone getting
character
ill
gets
right
on
now?
a boat, be afraid.
I was there is a guy out here in my hometown and his name is Bill Murray, and I know what you're thinking. Hey, I've heard that name
Yeah,
somewhere
like Bill
before.
Murray, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You've heard it in Bill Murray. And he fixes sewing machines, and I got this sweet ass deal on a sewing machine that I told everybody about. And everyone's like, you need to get him to fix it. Bill Murray is the man. Bill Murray is the fixer. And I called her and I called him and he's like, yeah, I can fix that. No problem. Unfortunately, I am having a medical problem right now and won't be available until the end of August. And I was like, what the fuck is
No,
going
Bill
on?
Murray!
And everybody, I told people, oh, thank you very much, Red Game. I
Thank you,
told
Shadela.
everyone and they were like, no, Bill Murray. Yeah.
Oh, man. That's
I'm
why
hoping
Oda's
he's
the
not going to
goat.
be
All
on
his
a boat
characters are
for
on
8
boats.
years.
Sorry, what?
I'm hoping he won't be on a boat for 8 years.
Yeah, hopefully.
Quit being like, sorry, can't fix it. I'm on a boat.
I'll also say somebody said that anybody who's saying that the boat will never arrive on the continent, I believe in the theory that both the king and Morena want to sink the boat for a Nen ritual. So not only do I think the
Then
boat
what?
won't
What
reach
are you
there because of
talking about?
Togashi, but I think even if Togashi manages to finish the Black Whale 1 arc, the boat won't reach the Dark Continent because the most powerful people on board are trying to sink the boat.
Dude, are you talking about another manga in the middle of my manga of
You
darkness?
act like we never talk about One Piece. Oh, that reminds me of the last thing I wanted to say before we went to the big thing with Griffith, because that's where all the shit happened, right?
That's where a lot of shit happened.
No, it's not cope. It would be a way to hide all the princes dying, so that people didn't know about the Nen succession ritual. Think about it. It makes perfect sense, and it would supercharge the succession ritual to make the next king of the empire way stronger. It makes perfect sense as an Nen ritual. Anyways, One Piece. Do you remember how shocked you were when you finished the 100 chapters of of East Blue, and I was like, yeah, this is the prologue, and you were like, this feels so big and complete, how could it be the prologue? And then as the world unfolded, you realize it actually was. I realized only now that the Golden Age only feels like a prologue now, which is crazy,
really
because
does.
it's even longer than East Blue.
Yes, and everybody was like, this is nothing, and I was like, I think it's a huge honkin' ass story.
Dude, we
Somebody
just read
asked me about the
100 double
art.
length chapters.
Somebody asked me about the art, and I just wanted to say, I always say, the more brutal the story gets, the more detailed his art is, which is something that I stand for. That's something that I find really beautiful in narrative storytelling. But he did a crazy thing in here, which just showed me how impressive the art is, because he does a different art style often when he's doing the beginning of the chapters. He does a very different, thicker, dark art style, which I enjoy. But he had an art breakthrough here where we go into Fantasia, where it was a completely fucking different style. And I was like, holy shit, this man gets it as an artist. He is using a completely different style to tell the way that different planes of existence just
Yep.
united Damn.
His twisting with art style is so cool because I feel like I've said it before, but a bunch of his characters are drawn slightly differently to reflect them being effectively the protagonist of a different manga, where Griffith is the hero of like a story about a fantasy prince, and Charlotte is a shoujo princess. A bunch of the characters are twisted in how they're drawn to reflect if they see themselves as the protagonist of a story they're in.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. I'm gonna go to this thing. His art style is juicier now too than it was when we began.
I
His it looked gorgeous in that weird demon sex scene. It looked really beautiful, but the characters didn't have the fluidity. Somehow, even now in his art style up here, even when they're standing rigidly, you
Yeah.
can see the humanity and the fluidness in their form.
You know what? You know what I feel is absolutely crazy with the evolution of both the story and art style? Reflecting on it, even the Black Swordsman arc feels a bit like a prequel. Like, this feels like the real story now that it's open and magic is coming back and we have an adventuring party. Like, Griffith, Guts being on his own doesn't feel like the story anymore. It feels like set up for where we are now.
Yeah, I would agree.
Which is crazy, but genuinely, everything up to Eat Both Eclipses feels like the start, and it feels like we're only in what Berserk was meant to be, starting with him gaining friends again.
Can I just say too that the reason that I think we both felt so much hope for that dark beast inside of him, first of all, it's a puppy. Um, Puppies don't scare me. I'm like, oh, that's sad. You know why puppies are mean? They've been abused and they need hugs.
Fucking dead.
Also, the puppy breaks the fucking chains. If he's really that scary, if he broke the chains, he would have devoured Griffith. Or sorry, devoured Guts, but he was
Yep.
unable to. He broke the chains and ran back to the wild. He broke them and he loped off to the wild. So you're telling me when your subconscious darkness breaks its chains, all it can do is lope off? If it had been chained and stayed chained and it kept pulling against those chains and saying, "I will get you," I would have been like, "Ooh, that's kind of scary." But it didn't. It pulled against a chain. It was like, "Don't keep me chained. Don't keep me chained. Oh, I'm off. Okay, I'm be back later. You're gonna see me again someday. Goodbye."
Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
sorry.
Whatever.
Twitching's right. It wasn't actually an eclipse in the second one, but it was like a recreation of the eclipse, is why I meant that, of like the events of the eclipse. I agree. I think it was made less scary by that.
I would totally think.
No, the beast is definitely coming back, but it's still a statement of like, even if it lingers, it's not strong enough to win right now. The love of his friends is more powerful than it, and that's cool.
Yeah, I loves it. Um, I just want to get to this part. The women in the room all naked, and then
Well,
they
I
put
think
them in the.
I think we gotta move into this whole section if we're gonna talk about that. Like, are we ready to leave the boat?
Yeah, I'm off the boat, baby. I'm
We're
off
off the
the
boat.
boat.
I I am going to end this with one little moment. You know that classic trope that they write in characters all the time where somebody's like, "Yeah, I'm only into girls with red hair because my sexual awakening was a hot babysitter." I feel like Guts has accidentally made it so that Shirky is only going to be attracted to unrealistically muscular men for the rest of her life. Unfortunately, she's cursed now, it seems like.
I'm gonna leave it with this. I wish
Yeah.
they could stay on the boat forever. The boat is a good place for them.
You think they
Better
should
things.
never get to the Fairy King? They should just hang out on the boat forever?
Yeah, they should just live in boatland now until the end of
They're
time.
just
I don't
pirates
think
now. It's
the
One Piece.
Yeah, the real world isn't good for them. I've always said that Berserk reminds me so much of like negative One Piece.
Yeah,
And
it's
by
Dark
negative
One Piece.
by negative I mean if you took a photo back in the olden days, you guys don't know about these on photo film and you just use the negatives, that's Berserk. That's what it is. It always has, it always will. The two of them are peas and carrots. They go really well together. They're not the same, and they're not in the same color
Wait.
family.
Ilini raises a great point. If Casca can only be fixed by Elfland, we should go to Elfland briefly, fix Casca, then leave on the boat again.
We either need to do that, or honestly, it's time for Casca to just swim much deeper for a longer period of time.
You keep saying shit that stuns me.
These are fictional fucking characters. And
All
this
right.
one is really, really pissing me off now. And when a character pisses me off, I'm thrilled when the author is like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to kill them. I'm like, oh no, please don't kill. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to present a theme to you that I'm sure you noticed, but I think we should keep in mind as we talk about what happened with Ganishka and Griffith. Are you ready for my proposed thesis?
Well, can we first talk about the naked girls who happened before Ganishka and Griffith?
No, because that's part of this whole section.
I'll allow it.
What I want to propose to you is that, I mean, they were naked because they took off their clothes to keep the fog out, though. They weren't stripped down.
No, I just wanted to talk about the finding of the naked girls.
Yes.
And some of the stuff around it.
Oh, yeah, it's fucked up. What I wanted to say that I think is important is, I think the series is telling us that the only way to not be a pawn of fate is to just be yourself with the people you love around you and focus on what you can do and how you can empower yourself. Because in this section, we are going to see that everybody who tries to use the power of God and fate against God only ends up serving destiny and the plans of God. That, I think, is the biggest theme in this section. And I just want to present that thesis before we start. So the naked women, I want to set this up. We get the prophecy from everybody in the city. A bunch of the people, especially the children, are convinced that the fog will stop. Everybody needs to stay out of it, not be touching it, avoid it at all costs, and then leave as soon as the fog stops. The Midland Army comes out, and they find the women. Now, you talk about them. Bring them up.
Well, before I talk about the naked women, there was on page 111 of the first novel-y thing we had to read. There was a page that he divided the screen lengthwise into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. And in the first section, there was fog and there was dead people hanging off of pikes that you could kind of see in the background at the bottom of it. And a moon low in the sky. And then the next one, there was fog at the bottom and pure darkness and a moon. And then it's lighter, lighter, lightest. And then you see the army coming in. Mm-hmm. And as I was looking at that, I was like, I just want to mention it because I think that we don't always, as people, pay attention to the background or B-roll of storytelling and artwork.
I certainly
did not. Pardon?
I certainly did not hear. You were correct.
And so when I was looking at this, I was thinking, what an incredibly good way of doing 3 simultaneous things this was. It told the passage of time and the time that these women would have had to have been in there worrying. It told it from the darkness of the dead people and the zombies and the people impaled on pikes and the hell that they were in. Then they sat inside of the darkness, and in the morning, they have people coming to rescue them. So it told passage of time, the story of darkness and the story of rescue in this page, which is really nothing than a slice of 5 skies. And I thought, like, it was such a cool way to do that. And then the next page, we see the army marching into the town, and then they find the army is Griffith and his disgusting pope, who looks like a perv. It's not because he's old, it's because he's perv.
No, he does look like a perv. The pontiff is very perv coded, for sure. That's his vibe.
I sometimes worry that, like, because you know how people are like, oh, we stereotype people, but I sometimes think that maybe people get a specific look to their face which says perv because it's a warning.
So here's an interesting thing. Stereotyping around facial features has been proven to be mostly bullshit, except if someone's old enough to have wrinkle patterns. Then it's like 80% accurate because your face has morphed into the expressions that you use the most often. So actually, if you get a weird vibe about an old person, you're not that unlikely to be right.
Well, that's disturbing. Thanks for the disturbing news.
Be a good person or it'll warp your face. Have you ever noticed? Have you ever noticed that old Republicans always look actually evil?
Well, but yeah, that one is just obvious. Their face always says, "I'm about to kick a dog and
And
steal
not
a
in a
kid."
Boa Hancock way where it's hot.
Yeah, ugh. It makes me so upset that I
You
like
thought
Boa
as a society
Hancock.
we were against judging by covers? Sorry, when someone's old enough, actually, it turns out you're allowed to with 80% accuracy.
Um, Getting lowered into that pit to become the big face. Yeah, look at Trump's face. It's hard to see his face since it's literally melting off right now, but you know.
Yeah.
Um, I think getting lowered into that pile was exactly what I needed to happen to a weird demon dude and his crazy ass hands.
Ganishka?
Um, Ganishka. It
You
is
needed him to
everything
be
I wanted.
devoured by the giant pile of demons, the artificial, his version of the womb of rebirth that Griffith created for himself.
Well, if it, yeah, because they both did the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
but unlike Griffith, like
Yeah.
this rebirth is a terrible thing that he's been doing to people and using as a punishment. And you know, in his credit, he was willing to do it to himself. That's
Yeah.
refreshing. That's
Yeah.
refreshing.
I
Yeah.
also love that his wizard was like, man, I do not think this will have the desired results. You are the most powerful apostle. If you go in there, is gonna get whack. And he was like, look, Griffith is as strong as he was because the womb of rebirth reshaped him into something new. Clearly, I gotta do that same shit. And the wizard was like, I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah. Also, I like that his wizard literally just said, "What the?" and then it gets cut off, and he also goes, this guy's dark." He like literally at one point there was a line, and I can't find it right now, but it was really like this guy is like super dark and just
I'm gonna
wrong.
tie my horse to the wrong goddamn cart. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
he actually just says it. Um, and I'm trying to find where it is, and I can't. But then he's like a truly genuine reincarnation. Has cast himself into a reincarnation vessel. Further reincarnation of a reincarnation. Such things don't occur. And you're like, no, you're not wrong. But earlier, when the guy was like, "I'm trying to be mean," fuck that. He crossed my line. I'm not trying to be mean anymore. Blah.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh God, you are a true loser." And then he said, "It comes from the bowels of the astral world. It's comes something unbelievably sinister." So
What
he just basically admitted, "Yep, this bad.
This
My
is so
person's
fucked
bad."
up. What I I love this scene though because it makes Ganishka such an interesting character. The way I see it is Ganishka is so similar to Griffith that he has the same ambition, an even bigger ambition. Griffith only
Yes.
wanted to forge a kingdom. Ganishka wanted to own the world, which makes sense because he was born in the place to become a lesser king, what Griffith wanted to become. So of course he dreamed bigger than that. He wanted everything. And his ambition was so terrifying, people twice tried to poison him so that he wouldn't achieve it. And when he became the most powerful apostle, he was like, no, I hate that I'm not your chosen one. I hate that I'm not the one you want to be God. So I will make my own army. I'll make my own apostles. I'll become more. I will turn myself into the God hand. And he kind of fucking succeeded. I did not read the lost chapter, no.
I think it's pretty crazy that he must feel so pissed off that he's super not chosen.
Yeah. Like, the apostles are creatures of absolute ambition, and he is the most ambitious character in the series, basically. And yet, Automod, please. All right, I'll look into it for you, Eleni. And yet he was not chosen the way Griffith was. He wasn't supposed to be the guy. All right, yeah.
I'd be so mad.
No, I
If I
don't think
was
Griffith actually would have been satisfied with just being a king, but it was his dream. Whereas Ganishka felt the desire to own the world.
if I'd be so mad if I was Mr. Own the World guy and I'd be like, I should get to, oh, what the fuck is with this guy? Why is this guy so powerful? Where did he get
Yeah,
all this power from?
and there's something so genuinely cool about like Griffith to become his full self and redescend onto the world. Fate twice arranged this meeting of forces. Fate itself had the hand of God reshape souls for Griffith, bring his army as sacrifice, bring the suffering of thousands and thousands of people to empower him. And Ganishka was like, oh, fate's not going to do it for me. I will hire a wizard and do occult arcane sciences to build my own eclipse. Thank you goddamn very much.
Yeah, like, say what you will about the man, but he's definitely self-made.
Yeah, this is an ambitious guy. This is a man who acts on his dreams. It just turned him into a giant monster of mindless destruction.
Meanwhile, Griffith is really more like a Nepo baby because the powers that be really chose him and then they birthed him and made him who he is.
You know what? Artorias has a good point. Ganishka's ambition was fueled by fear, whereas Griffith's was fueled by self-importance and just a belief in himself. That is very different.
Yeah. Yeah, Griffith really comes off as a white dude here. I'm not gonna lie.
Griffith is very, I deserve this, and Ganishka is, I am so afraid of the world, I need to own everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, honestly, he really does come off as a, like, look at me. Did you see how hot and awesome I am in my androgynous body? Let me stand out in the sunshine and bathe with this bucket. And then everybody was like, yeah, that boy.
I think, so Twitch and Wander, we're having this big debate, right, of if fate is bad, if there's the necessary evil, if Griffith is maybe actually a good force. And I think one of the big arguments we're seeing here in Berserk is the person who knows Griffith and has seen the true, like, weakness and impotence and spitefulness and immaturity of his soul knows he is not good. But as a force of narrative, this is a uniting man that took a god of destruction, the end of the world made incarnate, and turned it into the birth of Fantasia, the ushering of a world of magic and the unity under a utopia, a utopic kingdom, a uniting between those who had lost their humanity and humans, rekindling love between them. Like, to the world at large, he is the protagonist, he is the hero, and I think what this is kind of showing us is that, like, the people who appear to be the driving force of the narrative of the world aren't necessarily what that narrative has them look like they are. What are your thoughts here?
Forget, like, and something we have to say is, let's not pretend that rape is a small thing. Sorry, I forgot I'm not allowed to use real words.
I mean, I do all the time. I think you're not supposed to, but...
And Griffith did. And I think that we underplay how bad that is, and that we just start to normalize it because of how much it happens. So let's just say there's a man in the United States who created a company because his sister was sexually attacked, and and the company is called Rapist Should Die, because he was going to get 25 years for killing him because he really wanted to kill him. So Griffith is Bill Cosby. Yeah, exactly. And so I just think that, honestly, Griffith should die just for that. Just because I don't know if everyone remembers the outcome of what happened from that.
Yeah.
But it's Casca.
But he did that as not just a thing he did, as the first use of nigh omnipotence was an act that petty.
Yeah, the very first use of his power. So we don't have to debate whether or not he's good or bad.
Yeah.
No, he's just bad.
And let's also be real. He's not Slawn, who appears her entire corruption is about rampant sexuality. He did that out of pettiness because his thing is control. Out of pettiness. He did that out of a frustration that these two refused to be his pawns. That is the only reason why, was his petty pride. He did something horrific.
He wanted to hurt Casca somewhat and take her and use her love for him. But he wanted to destroy Guts for not choosing him.
Genuinely, if something like that happened with Slawn, I would go, that's fucked up and evil. Also, that is all your soul is anymore. Any humanity in you is gone.
10 out of 10, that's who Sloan is, and we know that.
Yeah, whereas with Griffith, we see more to him than that. That is only an act of punishment.
Yeah. Because he sucks, the big one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, Griffith is bad. What's the
Um,
name of the dude who shows up to the naked women with the beard and the hat?
Slann is named after the same thing as Slanesh. The dude with the beard, which one?
The dude with the beard and the hat who finds the naked women?
Oh god, I don't remember him. He's just one of the Midland Knights, right?
Hey, 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 hey. That is not a nice way to talk about him. He is the one and the two.
Is he?
He's awesome. What's his name?
I don't remember. I didn't even remember he was the one of the
See
two.
you,
I just thought he was a
Sam.
Midland
See
Knight.
you. Yeah, he's the one who pulls them out, and he's the one who's like, I can't remember his name though. And I love this guy. I think he's awesome. He better keep being awesome is all I'm gonna say. Like, I think he's great.
Okay.
He's the one that walks up and sees what the women did and how they put their clothes on the outside of the door to keep out the fog. And he's like, hey, I saw what you did there and you're amazing.
On one hand, Mira, that is a wild excuse to get to draw a bunch of naked women out of the people that were kidnapped to be incubators for a demon army. However, I will also say, on their part, that is just kind of awesome that they got this vision of keeping the fog out, but they were in barred cages and they were ingenuitive enough to be like, no, we got this anyways.
Yes, I think so too. But, Kenny Boyd does seem to just like to have reasons to draw women in bad positions naked too.
Yeah.
Women who are all in need of a hamburger.
Granted, I don't think Ganishka was that worried about their well-being or appearance, considering they were just meant to be incubators for demons to explode out of.
I can't even with that part. But on the other hand, he does kill his whole entire army. That whole pretty flowers blooming red. Oh my
God. His fog body stealing the life force of all of his soldiers was such a cool way to recreate the evils of Griffith.
Yes, I agree. Laban. That's his name, is Laban.
God, where brain
is this a French twist? Is it supposed to be Laban?
Do you think kidnapping all of those women is using them as incubators for a demon army more or less evil than the reason you would expect a medieval army to kidnap all the women in a kingdom?
Oh, Jesus God. As a woman, I'm just so fucking tired of people kidnapping us and doing all the sex things. Like, just, can we find a new pastime that isn't humiliating and denigrating people who are women?
Great. Yeah, we could work on it.
I mean, I don't think we are.
I'm going to say same. I'm going to say neutral. I'm going to say it's not better or worse.
Yeah, it's just,
it's at least more novel.
I guess, yeah. Yeah. It's gross. It's longer term.
You feel like the actual reason is the normal reason next to demon magic? I mean, not really, because, like, there is a utilitarian purpose, which is demons explode out of them to join his ranks.
Yeah, and that part is really nasty.
It's really nasty. It's pretty fucking bad.
It's my grandpa's 80th birthday.
Huh.
All right.
I agree with you though. The utilitarian purpose is evil though. Yeah, absolutely. It is really bad. I'm just saying it's really not just for the normal purposes. There was a utility reason they did it.
Oh, here it is. Sir Laban. I see it. Thank you guys. I'm gonna go grosser. I agree. Grosser overall.
I think grosser overall. I don't think necessarily more evil, but like grosser and more novel.
Also, it's better simply because it can't happen and the other ways can.
You know what? That's true. This is a fantastical version where you go, there is an excuse that doesn't exist in our world.
Exactly. And that's why I'm going to go with better.
The Pretty Red Flowers was such a great way of showing how much he didn't realize the scale he had reached of power that, like, he starts to wonder where his soldiers are, and then his mind is more consumed by the size of what he's become, and soldiers is no longer a concept that makes sense to him. That was such a cool moment.
Yeah, but it was, because he kept saying, where are my men? Where are these people?
But
So
But then
he
he started
still
to go,
had that.
soldiers, what is a soldier? And like move away from that.
Yeah, but the things were so far beneath him and so far beneath his
Yeah.
thinking that he just couldn't even register it at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It starts off as like he thinks those are bugs because he doesn't realize the scale of consciousness that he's reached. And then bit by bit, even fades away from that, where he's like, I don't even know what that is. I just am. I am. That's the light. I want the light. And that's all he has of his consciousness anymore.
Yes, precisely.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
Um, God.
I'm
The
trying to find this dude because there is this dude who's on all of the medias. He is I can't remember what nationality he is, but he's so hot. He's darkerish, medium skinned, and he's
which
so
what?
hot. Anyways, I'm trying to tell you this for a very specific reason. He is like a darker skin and long hair, and he always is on that weird social media thing where people from all over the world just show up on each other's pages and start talking from all over the world. Do you know the one I'm talking about? And then
Yeah.
you can just be like, and blink out. And every time somebody comes on, especially dudes, and he's there, I think his name is Jason. Um, People are like, "Oh my god, dude, like no homo, but you're beautiful." Um, and I'm always like, "Dude, you can compliment a man without being homosexual." But
It is
moving on.
possible.
But it's
I
nonstop men talking about how hot he is. He reminds me of a darker skinned Griffith because there's a line in here where they're talking about like if you could see this Jason, um, they said like he used to be so beautiful and so almost ethereal, but now, and then it shows Griffith sitting there leading the army with this face that is like angelic, which is
yeah,
why I love it so much because
yeah,
he's so angelic looking. He is everything you would think of as being an angel with the darkest heart. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
I agree. Well, because he doesn't matter. His heart doesn't matter. Who he is doesn't matter. What matters is that he serves the God as a piece of this narrative, as the king who is bringing the will of God onto the world. It doesn't matter who he is. That is why he's an angel.
Exactly. He is an angel of death, but he's
Yeah,
an angel.
yeah,
But I just thought it was so interesting because when they were showing these people talking about Griffith, these people in his army, and being like, I remember him in the old days, da 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 da. I was like, yeah, he literally looks like this guy Jason. That would have been old Griffith. That he's so beautiful and so ethereal looking that you're like, how do you exist? And the men are talking about how he used to be crazy the way that he looked, but now looking at him, something has changed and they couldn't put their finger on it and it dotted. And I was like, I love that we have chosen to make him look like an angel.
I
I love that we've made him the whitest whiteboard in the boy in the world and the evilest piece of crap. I love it.
I want to go back a tiny bit to focus on something. I agree with you, but we skipped something by accident. I fucking love the scene where they're fleeing and one of the Kushan who works for Griffith shows up and everybody's suspicious, but it's their only way of survival. Great way from Griffith to make the Midlander Knights trust the Kushan working for him to have them save all these people. And then on top of that, Salat showing up and being like, I'm gonna kill you. And then Salat has the conversation about Griffith, and Salat is just like, you know what? Actually, fuck all of this. I don't care. I'm leaving. Fuck this. And goes. I think that's the funniest thing in the world.
I agree.
Like, he's
I
not.
also like to see when we went back to the boat that the elves are fishing with the egg. What? What now?
But
We're just
importantly, the egg's face is restructured into a proper face, which is crazy.
that was really weird. That all
Yeah.
of a sudden it was like whoosh, whoosh.
Yep.
I was like, oh, oh. Is that the reuniting of the different astral planes? And now the egg feels like it is whole? Ugh.
Um, Artorias, it's not that I think the Godhand serves as a benevolent side. It's that I think the God is God, so it gets to decide what fate is. So it gets to decide what the narrative good is, and just choose that
Yeah, I
Griffith is
also
good.
think that they're basically saying God isn't good.
Yeah. But God gets to say what good is, so a lot of people are just going to believe whatever God says is good because it's God.
God may get to say what's good, but you can disagree.
Yeah, look, I disagree. I think Guts disagrees. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Like God can be out here being like, this is good, and you can be like, yeah, you're divine, but I think that's just power, not
Um, what the fuck
rationale.
power does Griffith have that nobody's allowed to hit him? But I goddamn love, we see again, Skull Knight made a sword out of Behelits that is able to cut through all ephemeral things to their core. He tries to hit Griffith. Once again, he is using the power of God against God, the exact way Ganishka wants to. And instead of hitting Griffith, he hits Ganishka underneath, ushering in Fantasia, making it look like Griffith did it when he didn't. God damn.
Yeah.
Trying to use the power of God against him doesn't work. Instead, you just serve his narrative.
That was wild. I love and hate seeing Skull Daddy with them.
You think it was something Griffith did on purpose? Fair. But I still think it's the sword that did it. Oh, you don't think it was automatic. You think he caused it. I understand. You're right. He talked about distorting dimensions. Sorry, you keep talking. I've been corrected.
Didn't you feel pretty pissed off to get to see Skull Daddy with them? You were like, wait a minute, Skull Daddy, you don't play with their park. What are you doing over here?
I also felt like it must have been underwhelming for you for Griffith to give him a name, and it's Knight of Skeleton instead of Skull Knight or Skull Daddy.
It was so stupid. I was so mad. I was like, first of all,
greetings,
Griffith,
Knight of Skeleton.
That is the stupidest fucking name. His name is Skull Daddy, and that's just for a starter. But if you were gonna come up with something, it shouldn't have been like the way I did it, where it just started with Skull. That's dumb.
If I were Skull Knight, I'd be pissed off about Griffith's superpowers, because I'd be like, I forged a sword that can cut through dimensions itself. And Griffith's like, yeah, I distorted space-time so that your cut hit the thing on the other side of me. And Skull Knight's got to pause and be like, that feels like bullshit.
Yeah, I would be pissed off by us too. He's been around for a long time. He should have some cooler powers. I say that even though I watched him create a sword out of Belhalet.
I made a sword specifically to be able to cut through dimensions, and you're telling me your dimension warping power? Yes, because I'm not using dimensions, I'm warping dimensions. It's different. Your sword still has dimensions. Fuck that! What?
I love the tearing the world apart, making the Belhalet come together. That's a wild, cool juxtaposition.
Now we know why he was eating them. At least we do know why he was eating the eggs.
He was eating them because he's just really into protein.
I fucking, there's something so great about this idea of Ganishka and Skull Knight both did everything they could to use the powers of God against him, and all they did was further his plans. Because Griffith has seeded the idea in so many people's head of Falconia, his great capital, where the old city was, that the utopic capital everyone believed in was a mythological creature in the interstice. So when this was split, his capital was brought in the way all these creatures of myth were, because he seeded this idea. This fucking Ganishka turning himself into a pseudo Griffith, and this sword able to cut apart all that energy to bring the interstice into reality. And then that creating Falconia because so many people believe in it that it's a creature of myth. That's so fucking cool!
For me, yeah. I like your perspective on that. Like, I like your teardown of that.
It's what feels like it makes sense to me, and I
would agree. I would agree. I love that. Do you remember when we talked about how much I think that he pays more attention and creates this beautiful art when things get really crazy? One of the things that I loved is on the walk of, or as I like to call it, on the walk of the wild worm man, because each of his legs is made by many worms. He does
look like a worm man, yeah. I like how he's so silly, but also, when you get close, so disturbing and so fucking big that he's still scary even though he looks silly.
Everything on him is worm man all the way around.
Yeah.
But I like on his wild walk of craziness when his art just starts popping off and we're watching worm man make his way across, and he's talking about blah, 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 Shiva himself. and how beautiful the art becomes while he's having this philosophical saunter stomping through armies and land. That just before he goes, that we see this part, he says, isn't anyone there? Somebody be there, that in his ultimate power, he's alone in
Yeah.
his ultimate power, because unlike Griffith, where he's using people who stand beside him and admire him so the people stay with him, because he is the ultimate ego and he's working from a place of fear, he's alone. And so his path when he's in his greatest powerful state is completely alone. And then he says, like, everyone goes, it's like witnessing the end of the world. And then we go back to him, someone, anyone. And then he says, what's that? And he goes, a light. And it's Griffith's wings coming up over the dark horizon. I was like, I wish that had been a full page instead of a little piece down at the bottom. But then we flipped it over to the next page and we see that under that light of the wings coming up is the Godhead of Griffith. I was like, you know what, Mira, you and I can have some mad beef because I don't like some of the shit you do. I'm looking at you, Casca, and your nakedness. But then he does shit like that. And then in the philosophical rambling, he goes, that's right. That's the thing I wanted. That light, that very light is my, and then it just goes dark. And then he goes into a philosophy later about how
I,
you can't know what true light is unless it's standing in the dark, and da 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 da. But I love that even he is drawn to Griffith's light and he's all alone. And the only thing that makes him feel like he's not alone is another person whose evilness matches his own. And I was just like,
well,
that is beautiful,
and
because evil begets evil, and evil craves evil.
he was together because this is someone else just as dark as him. But I think there's something so cool about this, that like Ganishka was a force of pure darkness, and showing
Yeah.
the darkness of Griffith was a way to be like, yeah, Griffith is that too. Griffith is just as dark as this man, and the only reason he is light is because God's light shines through his darkness.
Yeah, and God is evil in this case.
Yeah.
And it was so cool because I loved how when we go to Griffith, he's being shown as a man of light, even though he is just as dark. And
Yep.
it gets rid of that whole idea of this knight in shining armor and how light is the beautiful thing in the world.
Yep.
How this dude who is bringing all this darkness, he himself is drawn to that light because it is the evil that he wishes he has, this all-encompassing thing where he has friends and people who love him. Because Griffith is surrounded, I don't know if you would call it love, but I do, because the people are fervent.
He doesn't appreciate it the way someone appreciates love, but he is loved. Yes.
No, but it is love. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so you're like, is it the love that's creating Griffith's light and not Griffith? Because Griffith is just as evil and dark, and yet he is filled with a radiance. Is it because his evilness is brought on by the collective agreement of all this love for him?
Hmm. I think a lot of it for me is like the only apostle that could be the God hand, be this pure force of God and the astral, is something this dark, because it's that dark ambition, that willingness to give everything that allows a human to plunge into the depths of the abyss. And the only difference between them is Griffith was supposed to. So he actually, that darkness reaches God and light. And Ganishka could only ever get that darkness to reach it and never be a beacon of light, because God was never going to let him. He could reach God all he wants, but it was never going to let the light through him and make him anything else. He could only ever give himself to the power and become consumed by it.
But they also said that his darkness wouldn't ring out. You wouldn't understand his darkness if there wasn't that light, because his darkness is given shape through that light.
Hmm. It's also really great how both Skull Knight and Ganishka, the strongest people trying to rebuff against the God Hand, end up serving Fate. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. But the difference between them and Guts, and why I think Guts has been more on his own mission, and while occasionally serving Fate, also seeming like a thorn in the side, and why I think at the end of the series, if this follows Mira's vision, might be able to make a small change to Fate, is Guts is not trying to use the power of God against him. He is just trying to be. And I think that's so much more powerful, as much as it's harder.
Can I also say, as an aside that is offside, that
Okay.
watching the seer get rescued by Forest Dude, but Forest Dude either looks like he's porking his own dog dude up the butt, or that the dog dude is a big giant penis that she rides off to fight with him. Either way, I have decided the following thing: having something that is part human, part animal, and the person is on the ass end coming out of it is a bad design. It's such a bad design. This freaking, thank you, Reverse Centaur Yeti cool. It every time I look at it, I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't take you seriously. Like you may want to sit here and be badass, and when you were in the forest and you were in your regular thing, hells yeah. But all this looks like is either you are porking yourself or your penis is a giant horned dog. And it's just it's wrong. It's so wrong. It came out good for me though, because there's this one, and then there's another demon where it's a whole body with another body on top. And I read Dungeon Crawler Carl, and in it they talk about these minotaurs that are manitors with these like layered, cursed, weird centaur things. And I was like, this is actually helping me see them now in a very different way.
I
It's terrible.
I think I agree with you on the design. I also want to add in, we did talk about it at the beginning, but like just re-reference that it is very cool to know that it's a bad thing, but see the inspiringness of the inspiring feeling of all these apostles willing to work with everybody, like willing to work with humans and regain their humanity. It's fucking wild how cool it feels when you want to be like, no, Griffith, it's bad. This is bad. But also, is he worse than Ganishka and having turned everything into these rumbling piles of himself, his ego consuming the world, like his self-image and power consuming everything?
Except for in this case, his ego doesn't consume the world. His ego is saving the world. At the same
No, I'm
time,
saying
bringing on a
Ganishka's
new,
ego's consuming
darker
the
world.
world. Copies of his
Yeah.
face
Oh,
are
yeah,
these
yeah. Yeah,
monsters
yeah, yeah.
rumbling over the world.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, that.
Also,
Uh,
the idea of a monster made of so many faces that when it breathes fire, it just turns into a raining chaos of flame is crazy cool.
yeah. And the sideways mouths. There's something about a
Yeah.
sideways mouth that just never ceases to make me barf.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Having the seer sitting in front of him, leaning against him. Oh, God, no. No. Yeah, I can tell you for sure that Kenny Boy was making his own pervy porn on the side and drawing shit because his ideas are just like, yeah. I dated a person who was this kind of artist. I know the other things you're drawing, Kenny. You can't fool anyone.
No, you're right.
I'm gonna look for them, see if they've got released.
There's no world where it does. There's no world where that's been released. Those go to the fucking estate and are hidden forever.
Sideways mouths you think are hot? That's because they look like vaginas
I'll give you a depends.
with teeth.
Ow, fuck, I got tape on my ow. Is there any other topics we want to cover, or do we move to closing segments? I love the themes in this section, how layered they are, talking about fate, seeing Skull Knight and Ganishka bring about the all of Griffith's agenda. The fucking okay, Clarith, no. The I firmly believe that what happened and how the city came about was he created his own myth of Falconia so that it was one of the mythical creatures brought about by the interstice coming upon the world. We talked on the phone a bit about how it's hilarious that I would feel so pissed off if I were Farnese and I had just practiced so hard to be able to learn how to drift into the interstice, and then the interstice becomes all of reality. I'd just be like, fuck me, I guess. All right, everybody's here anyways. Fuck. I thought I was gonna be cool drifting into the world of myth, but now it's
I
everything.
totally agreed with you. Like, she's like, oh, I finally get it. I can astral travel and just move all around the place. This is cool. I'm cool. Oh, we all live in my astral travel? Fuck all of you. Fuck you all. But on the other hand, I keep hoping that it's going to give her some kind of power to be able to have a control over the astral in a way that other people won't. I hope, because I feel ripped off for her. You know what? You know what's happened in this section we've read?
What?
I'm really coming out here as a Farnese stand now.
You're coming in on her. I love how you've joined me in Team Farnese because she yelled at Casca.
Somebody had to do it. It's about time. Kids behave badly if they get no discipline at all. Just letting them run around freeballing it, just having a freaking wild chicken time out there in the universe turns them into bad people. And this is the problem I think that's happened with Casca is she is a child now and nobody's like, Casca, no, that's hot. No. And that's what
Okay.
has to happen.
Guys, I have a question for you, okay? This is a question for you and everybody else. Which era, if it stayed that way forever, which era of Berserk would you rather live in? The world where it was low fantasy, there was sometimes apostles, but they basically didn't exist, and it was basically just like medieval feudal Europe, but with even more war. That was the Golden Age arc. The Black Swordsman arc world, let's say it stayed like that forever, where there's some mythical creatures, some of more apostles roaming around, dark movements and prophecies, but mostly just like a dark, depressing medieval horror world where things are falling apart. Or the world we're living in from this moment forwards, where it's fucking fantasy apocalypse and out of nowhere. By the way, we got our dragon. You finally got a dragon. Dragons are real, trolls are real, unicorns are real, hydras are real.
I was like, ah! I want to live in the one that's happened now, but I want to live in the Elfland because I think they've had control over the shit for longer.
You
So
think
I'd
it'll
want
be
some time
chill,
to be
huh?
there. Yeah.
I imagine Elf Island's gonna be better than most of the world in this.
I would be like, yeah, I'm just gonna go over here to Elf Island. All of you can just fuck all y'all. Honestly. What would you want to live in?
I think, oh god, I think I'll take my chances there. I think I'd rather at least see some cool shit before I die than just live in the dark, depressing, it's basically medieval Europe, but with even more war, and some men are 8 feet tall for some reason.
Exactly. Hey, did you see that we got like an Atlantis kind of figure?
I didn't. I didn't take in what I was looking at.
It was like an Atlantis. It was like it came up. The mythical city that's been
Oh.
underneath was really Atlantis. So they did unicorns and dragons, and then they fucking even did Atlantis. I was like, oh, yes. And then, so it makes sense too, because Griffith doesn't want to be some king of a kingdom with a stupid castle that's all ugly and dark and
Oh yeah,
cold.
that's what I was talking about with Falconia. The idea that I think he seeded his kingdom as a myth so that it was dragged out of the interstice because it was a myth people believed in.
I agree, but it's kind of an Atlantis thing.
Yeah, it's got that vibe because it rose from underneath the city. It was
exactly
the buried city beneath, but even bigger because it's what people believe it should look like.
Exactly, and I love that. Yeah.
All right.
Could I go and visit the Atlantis-like city without actually having to see Griffith? Because if I could do that,
you don't necessarily have to meet. It's not like you meet the king every time you go to a place. I imagine you've been to the U.S. without meeting the president.
I'm just gonna say that my life often comes off as a novel or a movie or a TV show, so the chances of me meeting Griffith are high.
Do you think you have to meet Trump if you go to D.C.? Do you think that has to happen?
I think with how much I hate him, like the genuine amount that I despise him and wish him nothing but terrible things. Yes, I think that my life would be like, oh, you got to see Trump. And I'd be like,
sorry, you don't get to go to Falconia without seeing Griffith then, if that's what you believe.
I really just believe that the universe would force Trump in my path some way.
Okay. Closing segments. Where does Gut stand in our tier list? I'm gonna go first this time. I'm gonna give him an A. Despite doing very little, his inner world was so interesting, and seeing the way everybody else has been shaped by his presence, I think I want to give him an A, even though he's mostly bedridden.
Well, no wonder you went first, because I was never giving him an A.
Yeah, I think I gave him a lower grade than you last week, so it makes up for it.
Yeah, I'm going to give him an B+.
All right. I think last week you gave him an A and I gave him a B, so this works.
Yeah. I think I talked you up to a B+.
You ready for top 5 characters?
Yes. Can I pick the first one?
Oh, actually, Artorias raised a good point. We should probably do another protagonist rating for Griffith because he was a protagonist again in this section as well.
Oh, right. He's an A.
He is an A. He gets it. I'm gonna give him. I think I want to give him an A plus. If not, I wouldn't. If not for the scene of demons and humans working together, but that gave him such swagger and aura, dude.
Yeah, I guess it did. It's kind of sad how every time he's a protagonist, Guts really just loses.
Yeah, Griffith is really good at stealing the fucking spotlight. All right, top 5 characters. You go first.
Roddy boy,
Roderick, where's he going?
number 1, baby.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Let me think about who we have to consider. I'm going to do a weird one. I still find her creepy and unsettling. Sonya, number 5.
Oh, wow.
She played an important role. She was what got everybody to cooperate, which was one of the biggest scenes. I think she was pretty important.
Yep, she sat on a giant donkey horse penis and
right.
rode around.
I got talked up to an A last time because of Guts riding Zod because it was cool.
Which was so good.
It was cool. It was really goddamn cool.
I stand behind it.
It was cool.
Okay. I want to put Farnese at number 3.
I think that's fair. I'm gonna put Ganishka number 2. The fucking yeah.
Yeah, he sucks and I hate him, but yes.
Absolutely sucks and I hate him. Force of goddamn nature.
He should be number 1, but Roddy Boy's charisma and awesomeness just are so good that they beat the giant intertwined worm boy.
I feel like by all accounts, the charismatic British sailor should not beat Ganishka in this arc, and yet you're right. He's number 1. Roderick number 1, baby. Roderick stalks to the moon.
He's just awesome. I love that dude.
Well, he's not just Yggdrasil. I love that they mention at the end that so many cultures around the world have a myth of a world tree, and that's just what he is now.
Yeah.
He is the world tree. He is the thing bridging Earth to the astral world, bringing spirits into the world. That it's so cool. He is Yggdrasil.
Our boy's all grown up.
And all the little ones of him became little trees.
What did we do now? 1, 2, and 3, and 5 are taken, so just 4?
Yep.
Okay.
Wait, let's talk through, because we might have honorable mentions. Let's talk through consideration. Puck is funny. Shirky does some cool stuff. Serpico acts as a motor for the boat. Laban saves women.
Our little witch redoes the thing and goes through some shit.
Salot quit his job.
Yeah, that's too bad, Salot. Sorry for that. Yeah, I think it's...
I don't know about Shiva to comment is a problem, Melanie.
Like, I feel like Laban deserves a place.
I would have never put him there, but if you want to put him at number 4, I'll take it.
No, do you have somebody that you would prefer that you would argue is better?
Let me think about this. No, I don't think. I love Shirky, but I think she's like a number 6 this week, you know?
That's what I was going to say. And Laban actually like saves people, comes up with a cool plot, brings them into the battle.
He's an important point of view character through a lot of this.
Yeah. Can I choose my favorite minor character before you, though? I'm picking the pirate.
You're picking the pirate?
Yeah.
Do you think Ozon counts as a minor character this week?
Is it a minor character if they're a big character who does minor things? No.
We've done that in the past, but we're also inconsistent. Sometimes we don't.
Find a better minor character.
All right. Is the wizard a minor character this week?
No. And I already picked the pirate. The pirate is hilarious.
All right, give me a second here. You stole the pirate's the problem.
I know. That's why I went first. I was like, oh, I gotta go first. It's a pirate.
Is Magnifico a minor character?
No.
Fuck. Shit. God damn it. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Do you have to pick the pirate too?
No, I'm not allowed. That's the rules. I'll pick someone else. I just need to think about it.
Good luck.
Fuck. Shit. God damn it. Okay. Charlotte's maidservant.
Fine.
She made funny faces while Charlotte was being told to wait. Made me kind of laugh.
Well done, you. Favorite monster?
I'm going to do a really weird one because it kind of disturbed me and had me looking at the art longer than I normally do. The artificial womb of reincarnation that he dunked himself in is terrifying. I think it's that pile of people turned into a monster pile. That thing fucking unsettled me. That's my favorite monster design.
So nasty, and it was in that moment that I was like, "This is a boy who's drawing really, really awful porn in his spare time."
Yeah. Skull Knight's not a new monster design. We have to pick new designs.
I'm gonna actually go for the dragon. I think the dragon was magnificent. I
really thought you were gonna pick Wormman.
No, I was gonna pick Wormman because he was absolutely horrifying. And he deserves it because of his drawing, but you know you've done a good job, like when I hate your character so much that I refuse to pick him.
The dragon looks fucking awesome, though. It was a really good dragon design, and it kind of highlights how much that one apostle isn't really a dragon.
Yes, exactly. I had that exact thought when I was looking at it, because they show the apostle
like only a couple pages away, yeah.
Yeah. And so because they did that, you can really compare how it is no dragon.
Yeah. This fucker's not a real dragon. Your boy, what's his face? The priest, not a real dragon. That's a dragon!
Exactly. That's exactly what it did.
We got a real goddamn dragon! Drip, 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 drip.
Happiest moment.
When do we gotta do drip first? Drip.
Oh, drip?
Drip, drip, yeah. Night Griffith was pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna cheat, just so you know.
I'm gonna go with the chicks in the armor.
Which ones?
All the ladies in the armor.
When was that? I don't remember ladies in armor.
Yeah, when they rescued the naked ladies, they put them in the armor.
Oh, right, they put the ladies in the Kushan armor. That actually was pretty good.
In the Kushan armor. Okay. And they looked wicked. Okay.
You're right, Artorias. It was apostles, but apostles were people. Here's mine. And why I'm cheating. Astral Farnese was fucking adorable with the little tendril coming out of her hair where the little loose hair normally is.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Astral Farnese's best drip. Has
Farnese
a magical
hasn't had any
gown.
best drip in a while. She deserves some.
Yeah.
Okay, your least happy moment.
Probably seeing all the women in cages and being reminded about that whole deal made me go, ooh.
Yeah, I would have picked that, but because you picked it, I'm going to do my most happy and least happy moment together.
Is it the Beast of Darkness?
No, my most happy moment was when I saw unicorns. My least happy moment is when those snakes ate one.
I'm torn. If my most happy moment is Fantasia and seeing mythical creatures brought to reality. I think I'm going to make that the runner-up, and I'm going to say the Beast of Darkness giving up. That was my happiest moment, of just seeing that for this moment, the love in Guts' life was enough to subdue it. That's beautiful. I loved it.
It was so good. It was so relieving. Yeah. I was like, things are going to be okay. One day, things are going to be okay. He's going to win.
Absolutely. Like, I just, beautiful.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we do? Do we do another closing segment, or have we done all of them?
It's the happiest and least happy moment. We should have to do something funny.
Oh yeah, we did funniest moment for a while, didn't we? It's absolutely the scene where Magnifico's trying to convince Roderick to conquer Elfland.
Yeah, that one was hilarious.
The drawings were so good.
I also thought it was super funny when he was like, "Pretty flowers blooming." I thought that was fucking hilarious.
That's what the Kushan get for working for a crazy fireman.
I don't know what to tell you. Maybe choose a better boss.
Why are you working for the crazy man made of fire? Did you not think that this would happen?
Do you have the golden handcuffs? You got good medical, so you felt like you had to stay?
Yeah.
It's the problem.
I still have been thinking this whole time about how fucking funny and satisfying it was last section we read where with Zod being like, what good is flying at his weak point gonna do? What, do you have a sword that can cut ethereal astral creatures? And Guts is like, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I do have that. What? Oh yeah. Like, so you've just spent like several years cutting ghosts? Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Huh.
Oh, okay.
That's
Shit.
unexpected, but okay.
All right.
Guess we'll be cutting some ghosts then.
Look, Ilani, it's not about being happy with deserters. It's about desert anyways. It's about just walk away. Put down the armor, walk away, go home. Doesn't matter. What, are you saying being stepped on by a giant worm or melted into dust is a better alternative to just going?
I think you should go home.
To just being homeless for a while?
Yeah.
Most iconic is a thing we were doing. Most iconic is so hard because I feel like there's a lot of iconic images this section.
The iconic is the giant worm dude. It just is.
I'm gonna go with Fantasia, like the rippling of magic around the world. Those are both crazy.
It's a true story.
Yeah. It's very samey. You die either way. Nah, I'll leave. I'll go home.
All right. We did it!
We did it! I'm just saying, I wouldn't work for a man who was turning into worms.
God damn. Just giant ass plumy worms.
He had real Eldrazi energy. Like 5 people really agree with me.
All right.
All right.
I'm going to go continue to work on the organizing of my embroidery.
Have fun. I'm going to go pick up wood from the Rona.
I found a bunch of wood here and I was going to buy it for you and it was so much wood for so cheap and I went to do it and
firewood or construction carpentry wood? I guess I need both.
No, this is carpentry wood and a person who lives here was selling off his entire home.
Oh my god.
And just was getting rid of all of it.
I could use more carpentry wood. We got projects to do to upgrade the home, make it nice. All right. You'll sleep because you hate my time zone? Get a better time zone. Skill
Have you ever heard of our time zone?
It's called Pacific, and it's actually the first one if you don't count the place nobody lives. If you only count places that a reasonable number of humans live, it's the earliest time zone, if you think about it.
I recommend it.
Or the latest, depending on how you think about it.
We're the first or last.
Yeah, depending on how you slice the cheese. I think last is more accurate, but I'd rather call it. It's on the far ends, and it's easy to navigate around the far ends of something, you know? They act as a great, like, stable North Pole for your compass.
We have sharks.
We do have sharks here in our time zone. Have you thought about that? That our time zone has sharks? Actually, can you think of a time zone without sharks, given that they're vertical slices? I don't think there are any. They're not horizontal. Sharks. They're a vertical slice. They've all got sharks.
Our time zone has sharks. I'm going to tell people that from now on.
That's fucking... I think they all got sharks.
Stop saying it. It's way better if you just say our time zone has sharks.
We're gonna... fuck it. You know what? We're gonna raid Kat Abigazala because she's a cool political figure who deserves to win everything she ever does. Why not, homies? Fuck it. Oak can wait till next week, or Tuesday, more accurately.
Listen, I have new shampoo, which is old shampoo that I've had before that I get to wash my hair with today. I love that. So I'm going to do, and this is my Mama Drawk's good thing of the week for everybody. Hey, everybody. Have you heard of an everything shower? I highly recommend it. Upgraded luxury everything shower. Bring an orange into your shower, bring some sort of fuzzy drink, get a new shampoo or a cream rinse, bring in some music, and absolutely rock out a shower. Make it your everything. I can't believe that Hollow said Oi Berserk theme because Oi is the name of my shampoo.
Uh,
Don't you think that's a bit creepy? Hollow Rain, what have you been doing? Why do you know that?
I'm sending y'all off for raiding cat. Until next time.
Squish on, I've been pain free.
A painkiller.
Squish on,
Just wondering.
squish on, squishies.
Lovely talking to you. Bye.